Yeah, yeah.
What do you do to develop your watch lists?
Just I just use Thinkorswim. So I just think to myself like, what are you looking for, right? And as a base on all my scans, I have like, 1 million volume, 2 ATR, open interest. Uh, Used to be I do 1,000, but I'm getting even more picky, so I say open interest 2,000, and then like stock price less than or stock price has to be at least 10, and then what do you call it? Options like basically 5 days expiration, so that way like whatever has at least 5 or 7, it means that they trade weeklies. And then from there as my base, then I'll look up have my scans are, let me just pull it up. I have inside with full time frame continuity to the upside. So basically the last week was an inside bar, and then um, the current month is green and the current quarter is green. Um, and I run that based on like where we are in the month, because like right now we're in the month, right? So if you feel like something is getting bought by, whoever's buying it at this point in the month, they should be green, right? I mean, that's not to say that other things that are red on the month can't go green, but at this point you're looking for things that are like high probability, right? And
Yeah.
if you're already halfway through the month and you're not green, chances are you're not going to get to that point, and chances are the ones that are green are going to continue to get bought. So that's how I um, think about that. So inside and up, full-time continuity. Um, Outside and up, full-time continuity. Two down in greens with full-time continuity. Hammers, full-time crane continuity, and then just basically the reverse. So then I'll look for like shooters, two up in red, um, two shooters, and then two ups in red, inside and downs, outside and downs, and that's pretty much
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it. As well, I'm just on my watch list, I always watch like Magnificent Seven, and then the fun stuff like Palantir, SMCI, Coin, Hood, basically like what's really popping, Circle, CoreWeave, yeah.
Cool.
I have been like thinking about trying to figure out a scan for the intraday. So like I'm thinking to myself, I want to scan 30s and 60s, but like what do I want to look for if I'm like playing the upside and playing the downside? So on the upside, I'm thinking, okay, I want to scan for um a ticker that has all those requirements I said before as my base, and then I want to look for something that is um green on the month, green on the week, two up on the day. Not necessarily green on the day, but two up on the day just to show me that it's triggered. And then in terms of bars that I want to look for, like on the 30s and 60s, I'd like to scan for an inside bar, a two down and green bar, um, an outside bar. Um,
Maybe a hammer bar?
yeah, and also hammer. Yeah. So basically, I haven't actually used it yet. I'm still like kind of like building it out. So I'm
Can
gonna
you do
see
it
how
in
it works.
Thinkorswim? Because I know
Uh,
that you can't like scan for multiple time frames at the same time.
what do you mean by scan for multiple time frames at the same time?
Like scan for two up month while also scan for two down green 60, for example. Like in the same scan, you can't use multiple time frames in your script. I actually tried it. So like I think the best
Oh.
option would be like just to scan for different um, conditions and then like filter them out.
You can't scan for two. I know you can scan like for something that's like green on the month, green on the week, and then like you can do it that way, right? But you're saying you can't do like two up and red on month and like let's say two down on like a day kind of deal?
Yeah,
Hmm. Okay. I didn't realize you can't do that. 'Cause I haven't run the actual scan just to try it out yet.
like you can do it. You can't do it with the same script, but maybe you can like just do multiple scripts one for the month, one for the hour, and just like filtering them out, both of them, and it can show you like what you're looking for. Just on.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I mean that sucks that you can't do multiple. I guess you could have to just do it yourself. Like, I guess you can scan for just two up. Okay, so can you do like let's say two up? Uh, hmm, can't do like green on the month, green on the week, and then like two up day, and then you can't do like let's say like two down and green on the or inside bar on the like 30 or 60 then. Huh.
Yeah, but I think like once you've built this, you can like just it's. I think it would work just the same as Alex scanner, Alex and Sarah scanner. And in that regard, that you can if you can scan for intraday setups, it would be awesome.
Yeah, the only thing I really like about their scanner is the fact that you can see like with each sector like how many of them are two up in red, how many of them are like two down in green and so forth. That's the only thing I really like about their scanner because I think in terms of the other things you can scan for individually, like you can do that with TOS. I just like the fact that with their scanner you could see like basically a simultaneous break occurring in the day or not. Um, but I mean, you can kind of do that on your own if you have like, another monitor, monitor on your computer, and you can just leave it up with TradingView where you have like all the different sectors, including SPY and Qs, and then you can just see like it happening in real time. But it's cool to have it um, like they have it where you can actually see like, the percentages and everything. I just can't bring myself to pay the like 150 a month or whatever it is.
So
Oh yeah,
I'm building this guy here. I don't know if you can see that Replit screen on the share, but so I've got sort of like my favorite tickers here, right? The Mag 7's usually, and then there's a couple others. Cost is in there, and AMD is in there. It's not actually Mag 7. Hot 100, S&P 500, Nasdaq, and then stuff that the team is chatting about. And I'm just about done the code for adding the gappers to the list. So what this does is it scans the market from the open to show you what is moving, and it refreshes every minute. And so the thing I'm adding to this at the bottom is if SPY is inside 60 to make the prices go gray or something like that, like just to identify to my brain, okay, so we're inside 60, so I got to be careful, right? And so like you said, right, there's lots of different ways to do this intraday, but um, you know, the point of it is can yeah, shit.
I
The
think it'd be cool if you oh
if you can exit.
Solanke, are you still
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
You
I'm
went
still
on
here.
mute.
Did I? Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. I just popped out
That's
my
all good.
mic. Cool.
Um, so are you gonna I think what'd be cool if you could do it is can you make a screen with like let's say all the sectors like XLF, XLK,
Yeah,
XL
yeah, that's
uh
sort of in the hopper. I'm looking to do that, at some point. Um, what
because that would
screen?
be cool because like even though SPY is let's say like whatever SPY or Qs are doing on the day, sometimes you just have certain sectors like uranium for example last week that are just popping and popping no matter what SPY is doing.
Yeah, I think I'll
How are
share
you
it on
feeding
screen.
it how does it get the data? Like through your trading view?
Um, so on Replit, I actually just like I've got a few different data sources. I've
data sources.
I've been trying to build an algo, and I've got a really good one. Um, that I had some issues trying to do even the like auto execution and that sort of thing, identifying broadening formations, but like it's freaking incredible what you can code. Like I've got the stuff done for, a few different kind of, apps. Like it'll you can just tell it, right? Give me a clock or something like that. Give me a countdown to the flip. But data sources right now, I can choose between Alpaca, um, Alpha Advantage, and even Yahoo Finance. So Lazio's here, cool. Did you guys see this setup? Turkish, thanks for these notes. I don't know. Are you seeing my charts?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, let's whip through some charts so we don't, you know, and we can probably do a Q&A kind of thing as we're going through charts. So I've got a blank one set up here, and Turkish has got this chart here makes me so happy. I don't know if Turkish, if you can chat about it, but do you see the setup? This is,
Hello, can you guys hear me?
yeah, who's that? Turkish. There you
Yeah,
are.
it's
Cool.
Turkish. Yeah. So I had a little bit of a hiatus on trying to take positions and trades, and I wanted to get into stuff real simple. So I was looking for things that were either fail two down and green. I was also looking for things that were like Momo hammers, but I primarily wanted to focus on like one setup, the fail two down and green. So there's a guy on Twitter called Mr. Fail two Rev,
Yeah.
and that's all he does. So I wanted to try that, just maybe take a couple trades, stick into one thing. And I wanted to focus on the weeklies because I wanted to just take a small amount of money and just get in and out within a week or two, depending on when earnings is, and just start journaling some stuff. So that's what I was looking for. So when I saw this fail two and green and it was a hammer on the week, that previous week's candle, I think that was a red two, which is just pretty giant range. So that's like a mother bar. So you're just gonna take the previous range there.
Do you see this
If you see
broadening
on,
formation here though on the weekly? You can see it on the daily here as well. Uh,
oh, actually, I didn't.
this
I think I
is
see it
this
now.
is nuts, right? So you look at the daily here as well. Sorry to cut you off here. Do you see this broadening formation? I've had this. I love trading Bank of America. Their options are very liquid. Um,
Yeah,
and so I see this from, like once it does something like this where it breaks out, then, I'm looking for these highs and they failed and they came back in, right? So you can see that on the higher time frames, right? Is that we took out all-time high, or not, sorry, not all-time highs. We took out the magnitude of the rev strat and then failed. So this chart here in the short term, like I'm seeing this as a broadening formation retest. But you look at the weekly setup, this is bonkers. It's so beautiful.
yeah,
Um,
that
so
can go target magnitude up to like 50 max, and maybe you could potentially expand the Browning formation. And one thing I noticed is earnings actually already happened. So the next earnings is October 15th. So I was thinking maybe I'd buy like a little bit of the October 17th contract off of that weekly setup and just let that run. Maybe even add to that and just, given if it doesn't reverse against you and you're still good, just ride that
Yeah,
for a while.
cool. I
I
like
think on
this.
the other side, I was thinking more on the shorter term that if it has good setups on like the higher time frames, but also in the week you have a 2-2. So yeah, you could one approach is yeah, you can go with like an October or like a longer DTE setup. I was thinking more, just gonna take this to quick weekly magnitude. What are the targets in the short term, right? I'm looking at the gap fill on the
There,
daily.
yep.
So that would be like my initial targets, and then obviously you have like all-time highs, which is very close to the weekly magnitude as well. If you wanted to play it for like a shorter weekly or 2 week kind of 2 week kind of option play as well.
This is good.
I just typically don't like to play setups that are like past all-time highs, because then it's just the movement sometimes isn't as good, especially with, I mean, if it's like a Robinhood or a coin or something crazy like that that can really move, you just don't have as many sellers to go against if you're going long. So that's just my rationale, but still not a bad trade in my opinion.
Where would you put your stop this week to set up?
Where would you put your stop? Depends on where you enter, right? I mean, if you're gonna play it really long term, right?
Mm.
As at one point, let's say you enter as soon as the week triggers next week. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say you go two up on the week, right? You have a couple options, right? You could say that as soon as the week goes red against you, that would be one area. You could, if you're trying to manage it from an even longer term point of view, if it goes two down next week, I guess that could be another stop. So it really just depends. We've like talked about like stops before, like so. Um,
Two down. What do you mean? It won't be two down, right? Triggered up, so it will be either three or
so
or
yeah,
not.
you go, let's say you go to, let's say it depends, right? So let's say you go two up on the week.
Yeah,
As soon as it starts going from green to red, that's your first like,
yeah.
yellow flag. You can exit there. Now, if you want to give the trade as much room as possible, I guess you could wait for it to go three, but
Hmm.
that's even
That's a pretty
that's a
pretty
pretty
wide
wide
stop.
stop. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of stops that you can put in, right? At one point you could sit at the very most conservative to aggressive point of view. Um, as soon as the price goes below your trigger, you can cut it. As soon as it goes from red to green, you can cut it.
Hmm.
As soon as you have the candle, if you enter on a 30 or 60, as soon as it goes against you and like wicks the bottom of the candle that you enter, you can exit there. You can wait for the candle to close against you. That's the like you could do that too. Or you could even go as far as letting it go three on you, which I mean, I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm just giving you all the options, I'd say.
Hmm. I'm just curious which one would work.
Yeah,
Right.
like
I mean, I
Because like a lot of times
personally,
those tight stops,
yeah,
they trigger and then you like and then it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. Personally, I'd say like, yeah, like let's say next week, we go two up on the week, two up on the day, right? I guess as soon as I would say I would use probably the daily open or perhaps like the low of the day as my stop, because then, if I get stopped out, I can always get back in. I don't necessarily want to wait through like a lot of
Hmm.
drawdown or red. Um,
I think it also
but
depends on where it opens during the week, like the weekly
yeah,
open. That's, if it opens down here, right below the trigger, you can look for domino entries to trigger to the upside. But then if you're playing it as a weekly signal, you're not going to take the trade until it triggers. And usually, what will happen is on a higher time frame, this is going to be exhaustion risk, right? So you'll wait
Hmm.
for a TTO because a lot of people, what they do as soon as it triggers, they get excited and then, right?
yep,
I mean, you should, if it just goes and doesn't come back, then you can play a retest of the trigger, and but it usually comes down a little bit. You'll find a lower time frame broadening formation here at the key level, right? So, if I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the daily as well. This is one of the things I'm going to try to drill into people's minds is look for these threes. Those are broadening formations, right? So how are we gonna get, like this has come down and taken out the low of this broadening formation. Even I just saw that right now as I spoke it. Right, so it,
yeah,
it took out the
I
low of that
agree.
broadening formation. Now it's coming through this broadening formation. And as long as there's no reversals against, this is going to go close that gap, right? But then if that works, what does that do? That gives us weekly magnitude to up here, right?
And
Yep.
when you say no reversal
As
against, is
long
that
as the
reversal on
right,
daily or on hourly?
that depends on what kind of trader you are, right? If you're if
Yeah, it
you're a
depends.
day trader, so one of the ways that I was thinking about it before, actually, Ferengi was asking this question, and actually, Ferengi, if you want, why don't you ask the question yourself? What you
sure. So, like my struggle has been last couple of weeks is where to put the stop, right? Like I'm trying this 30 and 60 and even some swings, but then I don't know where to stop out because the what just Blue Maroon was saying, right? Like Wix it or go. So my question was, okay, you enter on a 30 on a 60 for a daily signal. Where should your stop is? And let's say even if your trade goes on green, and when the flip happens, so what I was asking Solanki specifically was that when we say flip on the 60, and you see a red, right? Like you are on a long trade, you're up on the trade, say 10%, 20%, whatever that might be, and you see the flip of the 60 and it goes against you. It hasn't gone against you, but it's against the trend that you were hoping in, right? So it's in red. What at what point do you exit? Do you immediately exit? Is it putting a wicks? Do you wait for a fiver against, let the fiver close and then exit? Like what do you do? How do you protect yourself, right? Like I got burnt a little bit with MSS Microsoft on this last week on Friday. So I
Uh,
took a decent entry, but it went in profit and then it started coming back and I thought, oh, maybe it's just putting a wicks and it then goes against you kind of. So that was the
I have a
question.
question on that specific trade, if I may ask. Was that a weekly or was it 2 weeks out on your strike date?
What was the ticker?
I bought Microsoft.
Microsoft.
I bought next week. So on Friday, I bought end of this week contract.
Okay,
Okay,
so
that's a little too short. I think you should have gave yourself 2 weeks.
hold on. What did you enter on Friday? So I'm
Yes.
assuming we're looking at Microsoft on the 60s.
Yes, on the 60-minute
Okay.
Friday.
Okay. So, here's, I guess we can talk about a couple things, right? The first is what kind of trade you were gonna do. So was this gonna be a day trade? Was this gonna be a like a
And did you
swing
go long
trade?
or
Was it gonna
short?
be, yeah.
Long, long. I
You
was
went
on
long.
the longs.
Okay. Okay. Um, so two up, and red is what happened, but it did go two up on the day, and then it just immediately reversed.
So
So the only like thing I would say is a little bit worrying about when you take setups like these is that you're at, I think, is this all-time highs basically?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, you're at all-time highs, right? So when we talk about the strat, we're looking at three things. We look at, we have your rep strat like signals, which is like, one bar, two bar, three bar, which in this case on the 60s you have. The second thing we talk about is time frame continuity, which monthly, weekly, daily. You kind of have that on the higher time frames. And then the third thing is your broadening formation, right? So if you're looking at it from a broadening formation perspective, where are we on the broadening formation? We're at the top, right? And if you take a trade at the top, it's not necessarily bad. It's just that your risk is that you're at the, in trade location wise, you're kind of buying at the highs. So you really need it to kind of just go at that point, and any kind of reversal is somewhat just dangerous. So you have two out of the three check marks, right? Broadening formation is the one that you're a little bit, um, I mean, I would say is a little bit skeptical on. Now, if you're going to take it for a longer term swing, I think Microsoft is still okay. Like, was it Frankie was saying earlier? Maybe like
Yes, that was
two,
me.
two, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can go longer, right? You can go like, I mean, obviously, if you don't want any theta to go against you, you could go 60 to 90 days at least, in terms of contracts. Or if you really think this Microsoft can move, which it's not a name like Robinhood or Coin or anything, then if it was, then you can maybe go like 21 days, which the gamma's gonna, outride the theta. But that's another complicated option kind of, um, thing we're talking about. So the big thing I'd be worried about is that we're at the top of the broadening formation in this case, right? Whereas what you really want to do, if you want to take it for a swing, is you want to look for these stocks that are strong, strong in the month, strong in the week, right? But then let's say on the daily they have like a pullback. So like if we look at Microsoft, you have these opportunities in the past where it went like 2-1 or like two
Or even
down, red.
this two down,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
this. See how you're actually you want to buy and go trade against these guys who are short early and cause losers, right? So this is
exactly.
creating these losers is what causes them to buy against you, or you're pushing them into losing positions. And essentially what you're doing is you're just causing them to cover their shorts, right?
Right. And you
So
may ask, well, how do I know it's, that pullback's not going to turn into a full-blown reversal?
okay, so
100% you don't know, but
so
you
but
have confidence. Yeah.
what is the clue? That's what I'm curious. What do you think is the clue on whether that's a reversal or just a TTO?
And I want
Uh,
to add one more variable, please, and that is this past Friday was the third Friday of the month, which is the OPEC. Okay. So things are a little bit more riskier on that type of a Friday, the OPEX day.
OPEX is, I mean, that's basically when all the like a lot of the options basically come into play. So anyway, so the two things we want to address, OPEX, and then second is what clue do you have that the what do you call it? That Microsoft is not this, it's not a reversal, it's just a small,
Right.
short-term correction. So I would answer, let's talk about the first question, which is the uh the clues, right? So
Right.
one, let's look at the month, let's look at the week, let's look at the year, let's look at the quarter. When you look at all those things, right? Are we green? The answer is yes. So that means that the buyers in there, we're strong. We have confidence in that regard. The second thing we want to look at, let's look at the broadening formation, right? Are we at kind of like the broadening formation at those points that Solanke was looking at? Um, I believe so. I think those are areas where I'd be comfortable taking the trade from the bottom of the broadening formation and waiting for some kind of signal or rev strat or something to go with you, right? So that's the key, is that when you find tickers that are really strong, we want to think about trade location, which is basically like broadening formation. We want to take it from the bottom of the bottom of the broadening formation and ride it out to the top of the broadening formation, which is when we start to take profits. Now, when we get to the top, we don't know. We don't know if it's going to continue expanding out or if it's going to reverse back down lower. So I would say at those points, those are the best places to take profits at.
So I'm gonna pause you for a
And
quick sec, bud. You okay?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think
yeah, go
one of the
for it.
things that's really, really important that I want people to grab what Blue Maroon's talking about is trade location. Not only when things occurs matters, but where, right? So you don't, if you're looking for, and that's why I created this particular um, cheat sheet, and I can post it again. But these are all the actionable signals, and I ripped them from Alex and Sarah, so I put their stat trading logo in there because I want to give them credit for it too. But always be thinking, what's the next two? What does that create, negate, or do, right? And so if you're looking for an expansion at the top of a broadening formation, your first candle's got to be green. If it's not green, this thing's coming back through, right? I mean, that's maybe a ridiculous way of looking at it, but what you're looking for is expansions to the upside, not, so that play that you're looking for was as an expansion on this Microsoft chart, right? Is on the 60 or even on the 30. Like this is as far as I'm concerned. Um, and I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything like that. I didn't even notice this. I was busy doing other things. But as soon as it goes red on the day, it's potentially two going through, especially when it crosses the previous day's highs. Now you're absolutely a failed two potentially going three, right? So on the 30, this for me, the next clue that it's not just a TTO and coming back through is the continuity of the next flip. So you could use even the 15 and say, okay, well, is this coming down? No, it's not. You had two 15-minute candles that were selling, right? The continuity of these
Oh, okay.
flips matters, right? So that's my first clue, is that this might be a bad day for Microsoft to the upside, right? If it's coming, like if this was your opening candle and it opened up here, as soon as it changes red, you got to be thinking, oh, this long might not work. And as soon as it
Yeah,
crosses
no,
the previous day high, you definitely have to get out.
yeah. I didn't enter at the day open or anything. Like
Okay,
I
cool.
entered when it started reversing.
Oh,
So you
down
see
here,
that
down
yeah,
here.
down here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, sure,
so I
sure.
did two trades, right? So my first trade was pretty good. It got me like, and that one I got in as a with the mindset of day trade and made like 30% on it.
Okay,
So I entered on that. So I had the extended hours on. So if you do that on the 60, you'll see a nice hammer, two down hammer. So I
oh
took
shoot.
that.
Extended hours 60. That's over here, but I'm not gonna touch that one. We'll do it on this side.
Yeah. So
This guy
first
here.
trade,
Yep, I see it.
this guy, I took that. That was a great entry,
Yep.
and it went nicely up.
Yep.
I made some profit, and I exited as soon as I saw fiber against it. The mistake I made was when the third hour after that one, right, when it opened with kind of wickless and it went up, I took that one again and entered, and I said, okay, you know what? I made some money from this trade, so let's go back in. Maybe it's continuing, right?
Yep.
And what happened was I got burnt in that next three. I did not exit it out.
Mm.
And I was confident that, hey, I have next week swings. Microsoft has been strong. Is it just a TTO? Should I just swing it? And I did swing it. So right now I'm in red in that trade, but we'll see next week how it goes. But nonetheless, that was my question. Like, should I have exited as soon as the next hour opens and turns red? And I shouldn't like screw it. Take whatever I have, either break even or small, and just leave it. And so what I got from what Blue Maroon just explained is that the risk is high because I'm at the all-time highs and up at the top of the broadening formation.
Yep.
So I don't know what is going to happen.
Right.
But if it was in the bottom or in the middle, I could have risked it a little bit and said, okay, hey, it could be a small TTO on the hourly,
Right.
and it is going to
Because
continue
you're not
back up.
coming through previous range.
Exactly. So that makes
I
sense.
would say you should stick with whatever your plan was when you entered the trade, right? Because it
Mm.
sounds like you thought you were going to go with a day trade, but then because the day trade didn't pan out well, now we're trying to reverse it into a, or like backpedal it into a swing trade, is what it sounds like. Uh, is what it sounds like you're saying at this point. Um, I
Yeah,
would
so
say
day
go
trade
with your
actually worked.
initial, yeah.
Yeah, so day trade, my first day trade did work. It didn't made me a huge money, but sure, 30% is still green, right? Green is green. It made me that. What that did was then it gave me that overconfidence saying, oh, hey, I can maybe swing this into next week and make more money out of it. And that's where I was wrong, where at least I didn't knew when should I have exited. I had the opportunity to exit again on break even, and I would still have been green on that trade overall because between the two trade, I made money in the first one, got out break even in the second one. So
Okay,
what?
I would like to add one thing,
We're going to
and
talk
this
about
is
OPEX, right?
no,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is my experience. I've done trades just like that, and my first trade, okay, I went ahead, took my gains. It was a decent trade, 35, 40%. Okay, I like it if it's 40. Now I'm already expecting, and this is from experience, if I look and see another opportunity to go in, I'm going to definitely calculate for a much shorter range. So I would be answering your question, should I have exited when it turned red? The answer would be yes. And remember, that comes out of experience. So that range on trade one, if it's a 30, 40, I'm expecting 15 or 20 on the second attempt to go in as so I could conserve my gains and not give much back. But I'm not going to get much on that trade. But if I'm not busy, I'm not distracted, I'll just do it to rake in a little bit more green. Okay.
Got it. Thank you. That helps a lot.
So I guess the last question we were talking about was OPEX. How does that play into um, basically what's on a Friday? What's how does that play into how we trade?
Okay. On OPEX, everybody is cognizant who have gained good experience in knowing that OPEX Friday, everybody is closing their trade. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of volume closing trades. Okay. They're not going past Friday. They're not swinging unless they've opened up a position that day, and it could be 3 or 4 weeks out. But typically, the volume on what's closing and people taking their profits is already that ebbing tide. Sometimes it's more than just the ebbing tide. It all depends on what size and which and how weighted are these stocks that people are closing their options on. So if it's a whole bunch closing hugely weighted Apple and Microsoft and Tesla trades, that's going to swing the market, and it's unpredictable as to what time of day they're going to finally bounce out of that. So that's why it's so volatile on that Friday. I trade a lot less. I risk a lot less on my trades. I don't expect a lot of range, but I'll get in there and get out if I'm not going to be doing anything else that day.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like with OPEX, right? That's when you have a lot of positions open on options. So depending on the ticker, right, you have people that are either I see it as either the stock's gonna get pinned based on like all the options and where like, Max Pain or wherever all the options are gonna kind of lead the price to get to. It's either that or you're gonna have so much price like volume or whatever, people are gonna just basically shove it one way or the other is how I see it. But a lot of times either it's a pin or its price is gonna rush, to the top side or to the bottom side. I don't know if that's your experience though, but if you could talk more about that, Frankie, that'd be cool.
What I'll do when I get back to my desk is I'll go pull data for like the past 2 or 3 months. I don't remember how many weeks ago it was or which OPEX it was. It might have been at the end of the second quarter, so we might be talking to June. It's quad witching day. And I think that set the record for the all time high of the most value in dollars that were closing their options on that quad witching day, which happens once every 3 months at the end of the quarter on that third Friday of that month.
But what does that do in terms of price to like the stocks? Does it basically just cause them to just fluctuate like crazy?
Yes, depending on who's in there, what group of buyers are sitting on their edge of their seat going, I know a lot's going to close. I know the ticker's going to drop, and I want to buy shares because I want to hold this a little longer and get in with a discount today. That's what 1/3 of the group of traders is doing. And I'm talking hedge fund guys, institutional buyers, and things like that. You and me, day traders, retail traders, we're in there swinging for the fences with whatever we can find when we find it. If we get lucky and we find one that's got an hour move that it hasn't done all week long, we capitalize on that. Whether it's, but there's more options being closed that day than there are being open. So the compensating factor is shares are being bought when they see those prices drop on various different stocks, particularly in a sector that's very weak to begin with, that's now headed for the bottom. Okay.
Got it. Okay, so we were talking about first we talked about BAC, then we talked about Microsoft. I was gonna add that like Solanke was saying on BAC that if you're gonna play this for next week, right? Typically what'll happen is it might create a two up on the day, right? I personally wouldn't enter exactly on that kind of signal because typically what happens there is you get a bit of people selling it off or taking profit or whatever, and then I would wait if you get a trigger on the two up to then move to the 30s and 60s, wait for some kind of rev strat to get you in there, and then that's the place I would enter at. I would not enter just on a two up day signal and just try to ride it out. Unless you're gonna use like a longer dated call option or shares, just because I am anticipating that the price will, initially spike up and then go, drop down and then eventually go up. Because if you enter right away, right on a Monday, right at 9 a.m. or whenever a market opens, you're going to be paying a big premium for that volatility. And when that volatility, starts coming down, things start settling, your option is just going to basically start withering away.
That's a very good point, and it reminds me about if you're going to buy something in the first half hour to an hour, you are paying extra because of that particular time to buy is always more expensive than the last hour of the day. So unless you know it's going to make a tremendous move, that's the one risk you're taking for as the time goes, and the volatility and how it affects the premium. Uh, Apologize if you can hear the airplane flying over me. So I will high traffic over there. But a good thing about BAC is, and I did respond to somebody's post today in the pre chat about BAC looking good. The only thing I can advise on what I put in there about it being cautionary trades from my own experience, if you look at the daily and you go back to it looks like July 7th on my other phone here, there was a gap down. So that's telling me, yeah, it's got a big huge two bar and then another two bar for the last bars I see on my trading view chart. But that gap down is probably 47.75 or 47.50 and maybe 47.75, where I would suspect the next 2 points of resistance are there that's going to keep it from filling that gap if you go with a long position. So that's one thing to be looking out for, that gap. Do you guys see that gap back on the 7th where it goes down?
Yeah, we mentioned it before on the gap fill.
Okay,
Yeah, we all see
great,
it.
great, thank you. That's all I had there.
Great. Yeah, I mean, when I trade gaps, I like to target the bottom of the gap and also the top of the gap. Typically, you don't. It's kind of like when you trigger on like a higher time frame, that bottom of the gap will be like the trigger, and when it hits, a lot of times people will start taking profits, and you'll get a pullback. And then on the TTO back to the upside, that's when sometimes you'll see that the up gap or the top of the gap gets filled. Now, if the top of the gap like barely, misses, be careful then, because a lot of times if the gap doesn't fill and you get a reversal, that can signal, back to the bottom of the TTO as well. Um, so yeah, BAC looks pretty good. In terms of setups you guys want to look at, is there a specific type of setup? Somebody was mentioning they want to look at like two down and greens, which, I have a list. I can pull up a bunch of those. Also, a lot of other tickers that are within the same like sector of financial, if you guys want, or if there's something else people want to look at, we can do that too.
Yeah, this is Share Bear. Hi.
Hi.
So I'm really looking into the failed two downs and two ups also. I forgot who was talking, but when I saw on X as well a couple weeks back, it really started to click. So yeah, if we can go over that, and then
Can I? Okay,
and then also
go. Keep going. Yes.
and then just and the ticker is PANW, the Palo Alto Networks,
Yep.
on the 2-day. I was
Let's.
talking a little bit about that,
Thanks.
but on the 2-day chart.
Let's look at
And the
that.
spreads on that thing is really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. PanW is tough to trade. What do you see on here? I think I see what you're seeing.
On the 2-day chart, there's a failed two down,
2-day chart. Yep.
and I think 205 area. There's a look at my chart here. I think 205 is the target, but I haven't traded 2 days, and so when I was asking Maria about that in the free chat, where like how far out would be a safe.
Okay. Let's talk about a couple things on it then. So let's talk about, like, for example, we're gonna use the strat principles, and then we'll talk about the type of trade that we're gonna use, and then how we're gonna manage the trade. So let's looking at PNW, right? Looking at the time frames. So we can go from bottom to up. So on the day you have a 2-1, um, you know, two to the downside, two to the top side, whichever one's more probable, we'll figure out using the higher time frames. On the week, you have a 3-2, right? That looks like a possible 3-2-2 setup back to the upside. So we're thinking maybe we have evidence that that daily is going to continue going up and make a 2-1-2. Now, if we look at the month, right, a month looks like it tried to go, it's still red on the month, so that's maybe a yellow flag, but it did go um, two down, and price is kind of in the process of creating like a failed two, and perhaps maybe by the end of the month, maybe we could go three up on the month, or at least it could set up higher for the month. Um, so I would say this is like that argument of, is it a fail to or is it a failing to? But in any case, we can see that on the month it tried to go down lower. Now it's trying to go back to the other side. Um,
One thing I
if
forgot to mention, this is really quickly. The reason why I brought this one up was because if you look on Monday, July 14th, that's the failed two down that I was referring to.
Yep.
So the trigger had already happened, and so
Yep.
Right, so if you're
okay, yeah,
looking,
okay.
if you're gonna just take the trade off a failed two on the day there, right? So what's the magnitude on that failed two down? It would already have hit, right? So if that's what if you're just basing a trade just off a daily failed two over there, I would say you should be out of the trade because you should have already taken your profit at that at
If
target
if
or
you're
at
looking at the
magnitude.
daily chart, you're saying. See, and
Right.
No,
and
I'm
That's
this
talking
your
about
is
the
own.
2 day.
yeah, that's what she was looking at the 2 day. So
Oh,
the two
okay.
day,
So if you're looking at a 2 day, it hasn't exactly hit yet.
right?
So you're wondering if you want to take it off the 2 day chart,
So
how
I
much
missed the
time you want to give.
trigger.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
missed
so
the
I
trigger.
missed a trigger, and so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't want to get chopped if I get in now, but then is there going to be enough pullback to get in, or do I just let it, just not get in this one and see what happens, or
Okay, so if we're using only the evidence, right? If your only evidence is looking at that 2 day and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I've missed the trade. Is it possible I can get back in? It's possible you can get back in, but if you're gonna base your trade off a 2 day like that, I would wait for a signal on the 2 day to get you back in. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say the next 2 day candle right now, because we have a one that's red. If the next 2 day candle shows a two down, a failed two down, that's a good signal to take the ride back up if you get a 1-2-2 on the 2 day to go back to up to the top side. I would say if your question is should I get in now, based on only looking at the 2 day what you're saying, I would say no. I wouldn't chase it because it's kind of like saying if you're on a 30 and 60 and you're 60 triggered and you're already like hugely green on the miss trigger, I would say I wouldn't chase it. I would wait for a TTO to get you back in.
actually
Um,
that makes sense because it's on a one candle right now. So
right now
yeah,
What if
we're
it goes one to up?
Right. So it could keep going. You don't know, but you'd be chasing at that point. And if especially when you're playing options, and you chase like that, if the candle starts going red or reversing or just starts going inside and not doing anything, you're gonna start losing out on a lot of gains, or you're gonna start
So,
basically, losing value on your premium.
Yeah,
so you're
So,
saying if
continuity of the flip is so key. If the continuity changes, like if it starts, let's say, and this is where I think Drea did that in one of her recent videos where she planned out the day, and that's crucial, right? That's what I'm trying to do with charting now is just plan the day out. And so say, okay, well, what could happen here is if it opens the week, like if this coming week opens within the range of this area, then we're looking at continuity, and that could make the 2 day trigger to the upside. Well, then it's got to stay above that. If it doesn't, then right. So this is where people get tripped up on the strat stuff is they say, well, there's too many rules or it's too nuanced. Blue Maroon had the exact perfect vocabulary. I would say the specific word I look for is evidence. What's your evidence that this trade is what I'm looking for it to do? And so when your evidence looks like it's being negated, then you have to kind of give yourself, then that's when you figure out what kind of a trader are you. Are you swinging and you're saying, okay, well, I can have it go against me for a little while, I just don't want to get in and get out again, and I don't want to micromanage the trade? Different story. But if you're a scalper on the 2 minute chart, a little bit of evidence against me, I'm out. I'll re-enter, right? I don't need to mess around with that. So then just figure out, well, what are the pieces of evidence? One is continuity, one is, trigger levels, are they reclaiming? And that's the way you just kind of have to look at all of this shit as tools and say, okay, this is how I'm gonna manage, the trade.
did we
so
uh
so
did we still want to
sorry.
go over? Go ahead. Ask your question, then I'll ask mine.
Yeah, yeah. Like my question specifically for this setup. So we know not to enter on the one, right? But let's say tomorrow comes and this one, well, this is a closed candle, I'm assuming, but then the next candle goes 1-2 up. By that
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. We
logic,
can. That's what I was going to
you
cover.
have everything in your favor. You have obviously if you went 2 up, it's not obvious, but typically if you went 2 up unless it gapped and
Yeah,
crap,
yeah.
it's a
Let's
green on day, green on week, green on everything, right?
Right.
And it
let's
goes to the top.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that because my question was the first time we were talking about it, we were just basing it off a 2 day as your evidence. So now let's say we want to think about this for next week, right? I was going over the evidence. So on the day, right, you have a 2-1 possibility. On the 3, you have a 3-2 possible 2 up. On the month is red, but it's possible that if whatever you what happens on a lower time frame could for what could that create or do for you on a higher time frame.
And to
So
quickly
even
say what that looks like is on the month you've reclaimed the lows. That's
right,
how fast
exactly.
I'm trying to make it in my head, right? Like this is a failed two down. What does that mean? My first bit of evidence is you've reclaimed the lows. That's why I have a level of that. Keep going.
Okay.
I like the multi-time frame stuff too.
So yeah. I mean, you can look at the quarter. The quarter is, kind of going to be the same as the month. It's, red, but possibly whatever it creates on the downside could make it green. On the year, I believe it's green.
It's green, but it's two up and
All
it's
right.
failed the previous highs.
Right. So there's a little bit of what do you call indecision or a little bit of conflict going on. But if you want to focus on the trade, right, we want to focus on possibly on the week. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Let's say you trigger on the week. You go two up on the week, you go two up on the day. You have initially let's say your 60s, your daily, your weekly are green. That's probably pretty good. What I want to see is that green candle continue to stay green above the 2-1, and because here's the issue, right? Let's say you poke up, you go right above the 1 and then you hit your magnitude at 2, maybe it goes up a little further, and then second hour of the day or second half of the day it starts going red on you. And now you have a failed 2 up in red. At that point, what's the risk? The risk is you have a 1-2-2 back to the bottom of the bottom broadening formation. So that's something I'd be a little bit concerned about. So that's how I'd manage your risk. You look for watch the candle, watch the price. As soon as it goes above the 1 and triggers up, you're a bit interested in it, right? Right? And then you're looking for a TTO perhaps back to the upside. But if that candle stays red and continues going down and goes 2 up and red on the day, you're gonna have to defend. Or if it even goes 2 up and green and goes 3 down on the day, that's another signal that perhaps the stock wants to go back to the downside. And so for me personally, and when I'm looking at the setup with that evidence, I would give it probably like a B possibly. And the reason why is if that month was a green, if that month gave me a little bit more evidence, I'd be more confident in the trade. From a shorter point of view, you can take a trade, but just realize, like I said, what is the risk when you take that trade to the upside? This is definitely one where I would want to watch it once it pokes 2 up and green on the day to see if it can stay 2 up and green, and not, you know, perhaps create like a 1-2-2 reversal back to the downside on the week.
That's freaking awesome, man. That was a great explanation.
Share Bear, I think you
Thank you
brought up a
so
very
much.
interesting chart, and I think it's even better if you follow your intuition, as you spoke earlier. I think I should sit and wait and watch and learn from this to see what it is going to do. Uh, and then I have a question about your time frame, the 2 day time frame, because I'm a numbers guy. It's all about the nerd math in me. A 1 day versus a 1 week is a good. Where's my confirmation at? Whereas a 1 day versus a 2 day, I see that as a 20% marker against the week's movement. If it's a 3 day, then that's a you know almost a 50% marker. Hence, I like to oppose 1 day to the week because in this case, Pan W has the weekly close to the middle of its weekly mother bar. It's also close to the middle of its monthly mother bar. So I don't see anything telling me it's going to bust and go over that, and or am I going to avoid the risk of it turning around and going to the downside on both of those time frames? That's what I look at for risk. It's all the math.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, so much insight today. Thank you so much for everybody.
I'm so glad we recorded this one.
Somebody else want to pull up a ticker, or does anyone have
Yeah,
any additional questions
we
like
had a
ShareBear?
few.
Or
We had a few in the chat, so I just threw those down. D Dog.
yeah, that's on my list too. We can look at Dig Dog.
Yep. 222. Giddy up.
Uh, Giddy up. Yeah, so this one looks like a great setup. We'll start on the higher time frames, move to the bottom, and then we'll kind of plan out our trade if we're gonna take it for next week.
Take us for a ride.
So
Go.
all right. So okay, let's look at the month. The month is green, right? Quarter looks like it's green. It has already hit its first magnitude on the quarter, so just something to be aware about.
And you can see that on the month here. Yeah.
And on the year, we're like, oh, year is definitely like 2 down and failed. It's kind of doji at this point, but it is, you do see that sense of having failed to the downside, couldn't go lower, and then now we're going to the top of the range. So it's possible. What do we see, right? On the year, we could perhaps go 3 on the year because we have plenty of year left. Um, and now these are just things I'm going through to think, okay, is this a possible trade we can take for a longer term? Is this something we want to take? Do we have evidence that, there's a lot of buyers on the year, or they're buyers on the quarter, or they're buyers on the month? But certainly from, the month and the quarter, we do see that there are a lot of buyers, which is good. And now we move to the week. The week, we do have definitely what we talked about before, 2 down and green, right? Or 2 down, failed 2 down and green at this point, right? The sellers tried to take it lower. They basically triggered. They couldn't do it. They couldn't reach their target, and then now they've reversed, and now we've created a possible 2-2 back to the upside. On the day, it's looking, there's not much of a setup on the day because it looks like we'd have to go 2 up and green, 2 up and green, 2 up and green at this point, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something we want to keep in mind. So perhaps let's say Monday, right? We trigger 2 up. At that point, what are the targets that we're looking for? Obviously, if you go up 2 up on the day, you have the daily magnitude, which is that next kind of pivot level. After that, you have the bottom of the daily gap fill. After that, you have the top of the daily gap fill. And then after that, you have the weekly magnitude. So those are all the targets I'd be looking in mind if I were to take the trade. Um, the only kind of yellow flag or thing I don't like about the trade, which is kind of being picky, is that we don't have really a setup on the day. So in this sense, you are kind of chasing in a way, but just keep in mind what type of trade you're going to be taking. If you take it off the 2 up, you're kind of going to be chasing, so you really want to take profits at targets, and you really want to be not afraid. What's the word? You really want to defend when you see the time frames of like the 30s and 60s go against you, or you really want to go to the lower time frames when your targets hit and defend or manage the trade at that point. Because the other option you can do, right? Maybe we don't trigger 2 up on Monday. Maybe we go like, hey, what if, let's say Monday we get a 2 down in green candle, or we get a hammer candle. Well, the day after that, Tuesday, then I'd be looking for possibly, a better setup, right? Because we have a better trade location, or we have a better broadening formation forming at that point.
Like
So
like
that's what
we
I see
we
with
might
these odds.
even, you look at the structure on the 60, for example, right? You can see these highs and lows. And so in this area, I mean, it's possible that, who knows what's going to happen overnight. Does it gap down here and then go green? Then you have like a, gap down buy situation. This is where I think it's important to, like, and I'll keep drumming that beat, is important to plan the trade ahead, right? Is to say, okay, what's the next two? What does that create negate or do? That, like, that one sentence of like, okay, if they do because what it does is it trains your brain to realize that this is actually a very dynamic, organic sort of, it's like you're playing yourself, but you're playing against the competitor, which is the other side, right? Like, how are we going to cause these guys to lose, and how do we know that they're winning or losing, right? And so this is where Rob did the whole decoupling thing, right? Is the when the week decouples and we get a new open on the week, that that one bit of evidence, just the weekly open itself, is very, very important. And then if we end up going kind of like 2 down on, sorry, if we kind of, come down into this area, and then it looks like it's a, I mean, look at these monthlies, right? They don't exactly just go up. There's always a wick below, right? So you got to look at it and say, okay, well, maybe it opens here, it comes down, gives us the wick for the week, turns around, goes green, reclaiming these lows, changes the continuity. Like there's so much data, there's so many tools that kind of come at you. It's understanding how the board is moving, right? When you get that and you're like, okay, I can totally see what the field of play is looking at. It's like watching basketball or football. You can see, and then you can place your bets accordingly, right? And it's kind of like watching, even a horse race. You're like, okay, I think I know what's going to happen here. And so, I think that's why I really like the way Blue Maroon was going through this is you're looking at these bits of evidence on the different time frame to say, what do I know about this? What's it telling me? Right? And what could that become? It's a really great way that he's got this habit of mind of kind of decoding the puzzle. And when you can decode it that way, and you're like, oh, okay, this now I know what to do if it does this instead, and how to protect yourself. So you want to finish this one up, and we can move on to the next guy.
I'm pretty much almost done. I would just say, like, again, this is another one where I would not want to take another, trigger off the day and get in at that point, because what's the risk, right? Let's say the price, let's say it gives you a two up green initially on the day, right? Second half of the day it goes up, but then suddenly it turns red on you, right? Now you have a two up and red on the day, right? Now you're like, oh crap, I shouldn't have taken that trade at that point. So again, wait for the two up and green on the day if it happens, right? And then if it gives you a TTO on the 30s and 60s, you can get back in. Otherwise, again, if it doesn't trigger on Monday, it doesn't mean it's a failed trade, right? You might get something just like on Wednesday, July 16th, where it goes to um, kind of gives you like a what is that a hammer candle at that point, right? Then you can look for the next day. Maybe that gives you an even better trade location, or you're at the bottom of the broadening formation and you have a better, you know, you're better able to manage your risk and you have a better upside at that point. So that's about it.
Very good points. And fortunately, because it's July, we have another full week of trading. I always pay attention to that. If I'm on the last week and it's a 3 day or less week, this is pretty much would be the final week. But next week it ends on a Thursday. The month ends on a Thursday, and August starts on that Friday. So that's where we're at.
So we have like 2 weeks, right? Because we have,
Yes, almost two
yeah,
weeks. We're just one day short of 2 weeks of trading. So, I tend to curtail things down when it's the last week of the trading month.
yeah, good point. He makes a good point. We're not quite there yet, but when we get there, what's the reason why we would want to not curtail or we want to put less emphasis on the monthly signal when we get to the end of the month, right? Thinking we have exhaustion, right? You guys have heard of exhaustion risk when you hit your targets. Well, you also have exhaustion risk when you hit, the end of the time period that you're looking at, right? So let's say you're looking at a 60 minute, right? Do you have as much evidence on a 60 minute when it's the first 5 minutes versus like you have 5 minutes left to go before your 60 candle ends? It's like the same thing with the month, right? The first week, maybe 2 weeks of the month, you have a lot of evidence for your month. But when you get to that last week where you have what, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days left before your month ends, you're not going to put as much emphasis on that monthly signal because your signal's, it's ending at that point. So put a lot of care when you guys, I guess, get to the end of your time frame because you have exhaustion risks in that regard.
Less exposure is the word for it.
Yep, less exposure. A-Lab.
We can go through. So after D Dog, somebody posted up Dollar Tree. So this is kind of
Oh yeah,
if
the
if
alt.
if
Yep,
I if you don't mind, I'm gonna try to.
go for
Otherwise,
it.
otherwise it like I know this sort of shit can, it'll consume me. It takes forever. And I'm not saying that your explanations. I like the thoroughness and the way you think about it. So the way I quickly, I just dart my eyes and say, okay, what do I quickly? Okay, I see the year is inside. I can quickly see that the quarters reach this pivot, its magnitude on some time frame. I don't know. I haven't done the math yet, but I want to see it expand that, right? That's got to, okay, so then I see it on the weekly. So I got a hammer week. Um, on the daily, we've got this broadening formation that I found. Now, how are we going to get through this, right? Are we going to expand that out, or are we going to fall back through and come back down to the other side, reclaiming this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I've got a story. And I just, I'll take a screenshot of this and say, this is what my plan is on this guy, right? And I just stick it into a Google Doc and I'll refer to it later, right? So that's kind of the thought process. I say, okay, what is actually some levels? Are we expanding that? If we fail that and reclaim and come back through, then that on the daily would be potentially a 2-2. Back down, we get a 2 up, 2 down on the week. Failing that pivot level, and the inside year rather, comes in a wee bit more, right? They bring it in. And that's kind of the way I think about it. So the fact that it's got this broadening formation, and I've said that before, right, is lower time frame broadening formation at a key higher time frame level. You'll see that all the time because at this level is where the dogfight happens, right? They yank the chain harder each way, and then they figure out who wins. So that's why I say it makes me laugh when people say I know exactly what it's gonna do. You don't, right? Dre and I talked about this. It's that level, like, and I mean, I was even read not to throw shade at anyone, but when people like, Mr. F2, and I'm glad he's found a passion for this, but and I'm not tossing shade at the guy, but like show this stuff in advance, right? And it's hard to do that because when people say I know exactly what it's going to do, you don't. You got to wait for the flip. You got to wait for that flip, and we don't know what it's going to do. We don't. I mean, shit, it's the weekend. Anything can happen, right? But plan the trade out ahead of time. Say, okay, if it stays above this level, this blue line, and expands up, we're good to go. And then just keep looking at the flip, whatever flip that might be, the day, the hour. Look for your broadening formations. These are lower time frame broadening formations here, right? The threes. So there's a broadening formation you can mark out and say, all right, how are we get, here's a shorter time frame. How are you going to get out and stay out of that? It's pretty, and once you do them a million times, man, this stuff becomes easy. I like this HPE, 2 down and green on the week. The quarter is in force. Haven't hit this pivot here yet, so this is a target. Um, and just fly through them. They're right. You can see the broad.
Right, you can see the broad.
Hey, Solanke,
Hey, bud.
don't forget another one I put up, IonQ, IONQ. It's some kind of quantum
Yeah.
semiconductor tech thing. Like if you're in a tech.
One thing I want to add to Dollar Tree is on the average, and I say over the past 3 years, its best quarter has always been the second quarter of the year. So I'm not looking at any July numbers yet to see how it's faring this quarter, but that would be something I would look at in comparison to what it did third quarter last year compared to this one.
Cool. Good to know. Thanks for sharing that. That's good to know. IonQ. Let's throw that one out here while we got it. What are you seeing there?
So yeah, it's just on the week. Failed to. It came up on the light strat scanner. I think it's got like a +3 or higher ATR. I think it was like $5 or something. And again, I'm just looking at this failed to on the week. Take that to the upside and just target the higher the range just before like $50. Yeah, that's it. Just a quick trade.
Yeah. So your month is in force, right? Inside month up.
Yeah.
Hasn't hit magnitude yet, right? So that's another quick check. I don't know what's wrong with my mic here.
The weekly, the monthly, and the quarter says all systems go on this IONQ.
Look at this outside
Look
a
at the
month.
quarter on this. Look at the quarter on INQ, right? If this works, right, what happens on the quarter?
Oh, you got a 2-1-2 reversal on the quarter.
No,
I see that.
is it reversal?
No,
Continuation.
Continuation,
oh,
right?
oh yeah, 2 up to. Oh yeah,
Color
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah,
Both
yeah,
up.
yeah.
2-on-2 continuation. Good eyes.
Okay.
Now, what's the risk? What could what things could happen where we want to say, uh-oh, we want to get out of the trade to manage our risk?
So like I'm looking at the week, right? And I'm trying to get in and out before the earnings. So I would put my stop when the weekly candle breaks above the signal. I'd put my stop at the low of that candle just to manage the risk there. Is that
What
is
day
that
was earnings on this one?
August 6th.
So I was looking at the August 15th calls, but I was gonna get out before earnings, so like hold it no past like the 5th. Do you see earnings on the 6th there?
Yeah. And actually,
Yeah.
Have you looked at the IV on those?
This is also an excellent candidate for an initial small position on a leap play.
Leap to go where? There is no more magnitude left.
Leap is in time. Go out
Right.
60 days, 90 days.
The possible magnitude on a longer term play would be what, 54.74,
that's what I see.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Correct. Spot on.
Oh, you call leap
I
60,
do.
90 days. Okay, never mind.
I would say that once, if the what the quarterly triggers, would anticipate some sort of perhaps possible profit taking at that point. So just something to be aware about, that you may get a TTO off that point.
But on the just real quick on the weekly chart, the entire price action has been inside that mother bar from like that
Here.
May 1st, right? That
Is it?
we were seeing before. Oh, it's
No,
almost,
no, no,
yeah.
Yeah,
no, no.
all the it's
They're
close. Let's
It's
see,
yeah.
49.94, so like 2 cents away.
So that would be, I'm looking at this on the weekly, that would be this big daily move here. And so let's assume this didn't take the highs and you're stuck in this previous range. Then you just look for your broadening formations, right? Wasn't strong enough to take that out, comes out, takes out these highs, comes down, takes out these lows here. Now we have to see how they open and how they continue
Yeah.
on. Right? If it triggers,
Yeah,
then you want
exactly.
to expand that to the upside, and you look for lower time frame actionable signals to do that. And you want to wait for a TTO. So you'll see the trigger, you wait for your TTO, you get your lower time frame actionable signal to take it back up to magnitude on the month or on the quarter. It's a good
I
look.
think he was just pointing out that what is it, the daily bar on May 22nd. He was thinking that that might be the mother bar to all that price action that's occurred until now.
Yeah,
But I
but
think it's just, I think there's a bar that went above it by 2 cents. Yeah.
yeah, but assuming it didn't, that's how I would play it. But yeah, HPE. Yeah, I already said some notes about that one. That one looks okay. ALAB. I really like this. Blue Room, give it a go.
Sure. I mean,
I'll put you on the
ALAB
spot.
was a setup I mentioned. I think ALAB was one I mentioned like a couple days before we saw that 122 possible rev strat on the daily.
Yep.
Just because it looked like a pretty good setup. Um, Now, if we're looking at it from what is it called, a long-term point of view, we have what we just triggered two up on them, or I think it triggered we triggered two up on the month, green on the month, green on the quarter as well was re-triggered on the quarter as well. So you have a 2-2-2 that rev strat or kind of on the quarter, and then on the year it's two up and fail, or
Yep.
it was two up and fail, but I mean it's still have plenty of year.
Yep.
Okay, so on the week we have basically an outside week, um, and on the let's see, yeah, outside week on the week green. On the day we have two continuation. Um, yeah, this is one. It's a little bit tricky, right? Because if you're looking at the broadening formation, right, on the daily, on the weekly, you can see that we're at the top of the broadening formation, and certainly it is possible we can expand the broadening formation. And you do see on kind of the month, week, and day, you have a lot of green showing up there. But this is a play that you're going to try to take an expansion, right? Continuation to the top, to the upside. Um, so it is strong in that regard. I would just be very careful if you were to take, let's say, a two up on the day, um, and also perhaps 3-2 continuation to the top side on to the upside on the week. That we're at kind of like the highs of the broadening formation, just to be, you know, cognizant of that. No real big setup on the day because it's just 2-2 continuation to the upside. I think, you know, if I were in that trade um, from what is it, let's say Thursday, you probably would have already hit magnitude at that point. That's a pretty obvious spot to take profit taking, and certainly it can go up higher, but it can also go back to the bottom of that broadening formation as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just for me, it's a lot of like exhaustion risk looking at it. But it is possible you could continue going 3-2 expansion to the upside on the week, and then you know try to hit your monthly magnitude, as well as the is that quarterly magnitude? Yeah, you could probably take it up on the quarter. So this is one where maybe you want more of a longer term um, leap, leap or
Hmm.
leaps kind of situation
But it's
rather than
possible that it
like a
goes
short
inside
term. On the
week,
short term,
right?
yeah, exactly. If it goes inside week, I'd be a little bit more, I would probably not take it. So this would show up on my radar if it went two up on the week. Because then I know perhaps it has a chance of going higher. But if it like starts off, we open Monday and it goes inside, then I'm going to be a little bit more cautious and perhaps wait for another TTO back to the upside.
Cool.
So
Six.
setup wise, I mean it's good on the higher time frames, but on the lower time frames, it's kind of just about your broadening. Where would you take that trade on the broadening formation? It's just kind of like you're gonna take it at the highs, which it's for me it's not ideal, right? Because it's perhaps you could get like a reversal back to the downside. You might poke up two up on the day, but then if it goes red, right, then where is it gonna go? It's gonna go to the bottom of the broadening formation.
Does look like a flag on the week, though. I know it's not a strat term, but this looks such a stereotypical
Yep.
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah, and there's gaps
Wait,
above. There's pivots here. You're talking ALAB, right?
I thought you. Oh, sorry. No, I was talking about CCL. I
Oh,
was looking at
CCL.
CCL. I'm sorry.
Oh.
You were
No,
showing.
no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, on the week, that's an absolute beauty of a flag. Right there, right? There's the pull, flag, and then it continues up. So, yeah, I'm just marking some pivots here, some levels. There's a nice 3 on the day, right? So just come back through that. There's your levels of reclaim down there. I like it.
I guess we did reclaim technically, right? The quarter, the big quarter bar.
Quarter.
Whatever it was it COVID bar or whatever it happened? You scrolled past it. There is a big red bar
The
on 2020 on the quarter.
oh yeah, yeah. I see.
Yeah, this one.
Yep.
So technically we're already inside, right? So we probably, by that logic, we're going to the other side of it.
Yep. Yeah. If there's no reversals against, you're going to the other side.
Again, once we define on which time frame to look for reversals for this type of
Well,
phrase.
that's why I keep asking people, what time frame do you talking about here, right? Because that's what's going to tell me what you're doing. That's good. That's a good looking chart. Diz, another 2 down green, inside month, inside day. You're back inside this weekly 3, but if you know, that could be an expansion of this level. Oh, I want to see Disney fail so badly. I hate this company. But I will make money.
But I will make money.
Elf. Ooh.
Disney fail. Oh, that's just bad.
This
I
is
think this company, Elf, is in the same vein as SD Lauder, EL,
Yep.
with the 2-2 on the quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, but 2-2 on the quarter, but it's failed.
Yeah. Oh no, I meant for SD Lauder a while back. I think I saw a 2-2 on the quarter, and I think the two companies are similar. I think I saw something about Michael Burry owning this, the guy from Big Short. I didn't really hold on to this very long.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was right once, I think, so far.
Oh yeah.
So from that perspective, I'm a better trader than him. Well, let's not get carried away.
PayPal, anyone?
I'm trying to see if I should put an alert on this guy.
On Elf?
It's not crazy. And I gotta.
Oh, this is a still outer.
Yeah.
I'll
put an alert on it, sure.
Is it on a daily? Is there a setup on a daily?
On Elf? Or no,
on EL. Well, okay.
No, not on the daily. No, it's not on the daily, but I'll play it as
so you said today? That's a 2-day setup, right? Inside today?
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
PayPal?
Sure. PayPal, sure. Got it.
I have only a free plan for TradingView, so I don't have this type of stuff. I have to do it in my head. So that will be a simultaneous break, right, for the EL and ELF together.
Double inside day, inside week. To put the month to enforce again, but it needs to
in a quarter.
That next, sorry, quarter. I meant quarter. Yeah, thank you. The 2-2 quarter enforce again. Perfect. Right, previous month high, previous quarter high. Still inside year and red. So there's a little bit of conflict on the higher time frame, but there's your broadening for. I must have had this from before. I have traded this guy before. Yeah, there's a broadening formation here that tried to go and it failed, so now it's trying again to expand that. Giddy up. QUBT, that's a crowd favorite. Oh, this one's gorgeous. Look at this. Right, you reclaimed the previous month low already. And
you guys know what sector that is? I
mean,
energy, but what kind of energy? Yeah, what kind of energy?
XLU, like a utilities? Because
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
looking
no.
at the corner of the screen here. It says utilities, electric utilities.
I tried
Oh,
to
is it
take
utilities?
energy on Friday and then I got stopped out of it, trying to anticipate for next week's setup.
Yeah.
There's another one. I think there was VST. It was another energy play.
Oh, you're right. NRG is more like a utility company, not an energy. Like not part of XLEs. I'm just trying to see if there's like anything simultaneous with them. All the typical
Blue Moon, what was the name of that first ticker? I missed it. My phone was cutting out.
Oh, NRG?
NRG.
energy.
Oh, I know those guys.
I really liked it. I was trying to take it on Friday because, you see the broadening formation really clearly on the week and the day, and then you had the two up on the day. But I got stopped out on like the 30s and 60s.
Hmm.
I figure I'll just wait for next week.
Quantum Inside Week. That is something I want to know. SOUN. Hmm. Hmm. This is cool. Retrig it's chasing a little bit. I would have preferred to have gotten it down here when what would have been the signal on that? The break, I guess, of the month. Inside month up.
Snow? Maybe?
Snow.
It kind of reminds me of PANW. A lot of these
Yeah.
software companies
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I've traded this one too. I've got some old lines in here. This one, when it goes, oh man, it's a fun ride. I'll put an alert on the week, sure. STX. Double inside week. This is a Drea special.
Somebody posted STX recently. Maybe it was Drea.
This is a Drea special. Look
also
look
like
at this
financial
daily
stuff
chart.
like
That's
Upstart.
that's crazy. That daily chart's bonkers.
Oh, you're on 2 day, just
Oh
FYI, you
shit!
haven't
Thanks,
changed it.
thanks. It's probably the same thing. But here we go. Here's another one.
Upstart, Affirm, Capital One Financial, Morgan Stanley.
Okay, wait. You're doing this again. Okay, Upstart, Affirm, Capital One. What's the ticker on that?
COF.
Thank you.
Hey,
And then
Solanke, just there was someone in the chat who wanted to take a look at Bitcoin if you
Yes,
can
yes.
accommodate him as
Right.
well.
Yeah. Thanks, Lazio. Sorry. Yeah. So I mean, I had these lines out from there before. So this is sort of a weekly situation, right? And on the daily, what would be your broadening formation here? So these lows would have taken out those guys. Do do do. Right, that's your low and that's your high. That's another way to think of broadening formations. You don't always have to. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I always try to. But that's your range, right? So you're stuck inside that range. You can just look at signals that confirm one way or the other, right? Break down, reclaim. It's a rev strat. If it's a expansion, then or a continuing, right? So this is two up on the day and failing potentially rev strat if it closes like this, but we don't know how long. 3.5 hours before the next flip.
But it's still mother bar to that bar previously.
This guy here, yeah. Well, it becomes a compound.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about this earlier. I forgot already the ticker we talked about. Oh, for Tesla, right? The whole mother bar conversation we had on chat.
Rum. I think it was rum.
Oh, it was wrong. I forgot. Doesn't matter. You can stay on Bitcoin. It's the same problem. Like, what do you do?
Set an alert and then walk away.
For one of the sides, or for
Yeah.
both of the sides of the range.
Both the sides. There you go.
Yeah.
Which ticker are we looking at?
We were looking at
Oh,
Rum. We were also
Bitcoin.
looking at Bitcoin, but
Bitcoin.
they both suffer from the same problem of being inside bar to mother bar
Thank
to
you.
something else.
Let me just finish the one thought here. Is this still has, like, Bitcoin still has time to? No, this is not the price of it. Shit. Bitcoin, BTC, USD.
No, it wasn't Ram. It was Tesla
It's probably the same
that
thing
I was
anyways.
talking about.
Yeah. So what are my sort of end zone lines is there's one, right, which is the previous week high. You want to be able to get the bulls to get back over that line. To the downside, you really start getting into trouble. You know, you start getting into trouble if you start breaking this level down here, 115.6, which would be the low of the week, right? Then it really starts to go two up in red, failing.
Well, you'd have a weekly reversal. Yeah, top to down reversal on the week if it breaks down that level.
Yeah, I don't know that it. I mean, that would be for. Why does it say three? No, that's the. Is it 3 days until that? No, it can't be. I don't know. I don't know why it's showing me three. Oh, it's 3 hours left.
Yeah, because Sunday is the end of the week.
Right. Okay. So that would be, yeah. If it triggers the low here, then it would be a 2-2 reversal on the week off of all-time highs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely something I want to know about. And then you come back down through this range again, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Makes Jay happy, probably.
right? But if you're looking for an expansion to the upside, then what I would do on Bitcoins, given that this is kind of the broadening formation line that, I'll make that a bit brighter so you can catch it, right? So this white line here. So it wouldn't if I was a you know pro Bitcoin guy, I wouldn't hesitate or be annoyed if it broke below, took out these stops, came back to the broadening formation, and then went and expanded this range back to the upside. Right? That's definitely a possibility. But you got to let it play out, see how it happens. Right? I mean, if you've watched enough of Alex's videos, he's, back in the day, he used to say, the bulls or the bears, they got to show up, right? You got to, like, that's the whole point, right? Is your team's got to show up when you're on, you know, 3rd and 1. Yeah, everybody's got to push. What else did we? Anyone else got any they want to throw out? XYZ, yes, looked at that one too. End of day trade on Tesla, absolutely. I love trading Tesla. Actually, it was Tesla
One
that
of
we were talking about.
Yeah, for the
Easy name. That
for
was
the
the one.
mother bar.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the mother bar. That's the one. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's go through that. So before we do
don't
that,
chase.
yeah, this is. I mean, I would wait for a bit of a TTO.
Don't chase.
Right there's. Ugh, this makes me cry every time I see this. I never got back in. Can you believe? Okay, I'll say this on a recorded live stream. I got this. That's it. I never got back in.
It's okay.
How did you even get out?
Because back then I was a fraidy cat, right?
No, but
I didn't have any reversal against the
it gapped up and went.
Yeah, I should have got back in right there. And that's another Drea special, right? It's almost a wickless weekly open there. So that's perfect. That's all right. It is what it is. There's loads of these trades out there. I mean, this still has a gap above, and yeah, I totally chooched it. That's fine.
If it makes you feel any better, I had almost 1,500 shares of open, which I cut at 0.5 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
We look at a FSLR. I'm debating whether
Oh,
this is a
bro,
mother
I'm so
bar
sorry
problem or
to hear
not.
that.
It's almost at my break even after hours.
I've seen this thing getting lots of attention on.
I had three very long bags. Open, Fubu, both of them I cut for like right before they ripped. But then the third one was Palantir, of course. I can't complain.
Sorry, I cut you off there, Bloomer, and you had one there.
Yeah.
FSLR.
FSLR.
I'm debating whether this is a mother bar problem or not.
Oh yeah, and then we got to do Tesla. Don't let me forget. Mother bar in what time frame? So here's the way I look at it as far as mother bar. Unless you're trading all-time lows or all-time highs, you are in a mother bar. By definition, you have to be inside
The
previous
weekly.
range.
Yes, thank you. I had an argument with Alex about that.
The time frame was the weekly, but yeah.
Yeah, I've got this one. Lots of lines here. Let's clean it up. Bang.
Wait, weekly? Weekly is not mother bar.
No.
So
Well,
it's not
technically
within
it
that mother
is.
bar
Yeah,
of
it is.
June
Oh,
30th?
oh,
Right.
previous one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This is a mother bar.
Yes.
Technically. So this is what
Mhm.
Alex coined the soft rev strat. Right? Is it didn't take out the lows of that one, but now I'm kind of wondering, what's the opposite of that, right? Is the
Yeah,
solid rev
yeah.
strat.
Because this
Like,
is on my list. I like the 122 on the week, but then I'm scared of like, is this mother bar problem?
well, so I mean, Shanti just said that, right? Like maybe this tells us that there's relative strength, that they weren't, like the bears weren't strong enough to overcome here and push that lower. So
Because you can obviously see like a mother bar problem on FSLR from May 12th. I mean, previously there was a mother bar problem, not anymore though. But you see the weekly bar from May 12th. It like you had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of just cutting inside of it.
here, yeah, yep, that's possible, right? That's possible, and that's all this shit. No, wait, that is, yeah, it is. That's so this is that big weekly candle here on the daily, and then this is all that shit. But you can still play some of this inside. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely checkerboard all the way across. Yeah,
Garbage, yeah.
you get chopped up in that shit for sure.
So how do you play on this one? You again have a mother bar. So let's say it triggers you to down to up week.
If I want to play this, right, I would say, I mean, it's okay to play a mother bar, or play an inside bar. The way you play it is you have to make sure you're going through one side of the range. Like if you, let's say, hit the bottom or you fail to hit the bottom and you want to take it to the top side, on any kind of like reversal or against you, you want to get out because that reversal tells you that there's imbalance, or sorry, there's balance between buyers and sellers, and if that occurs, then you're just going to get chopped up. So you can take it one way, but as soon as it starts chopping or going against you, then you got to get out. Otherwise, you're going to get chopped up.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
that's a.
I mean, on the daily, there's not much. There's no rev strat for you, so it'd just be like 2-up continuation. So. And the other characteristic when you're trading an inside bar is like a lot of times your targets don't get hit, and it's because it's very choppy.
You're still inside quarter.
Yeah.
Inside month up, but not in force. So this is definitely a line you want the bulls to start taking out. And then you re-trigger the inside month up. Over here, you've taken out this low, so that's become, and this is, now you just look at your price discovery series, as Alex likes to call it, right? So you just kind of do that. Or you do that. And you say, okay, well, that's your broadening formation, right? These guys weren't strong enough to take out those guys. So this is the range that we can trade through. And just go, right? You want it to trigger the week and stay above it. You can't come below that. TTO and then go, giddy up. I don't know that this has the juice to do that, and it's got a lot of what I'm calling admin risk, right? Or is like Trump tweets this, Trump tweets that. It's too subjective
Mm-hmm.
to.
There's a lot of gaps too on the day that makes it hard to play.
Yeah. So you can take this as I could take this as kind of like weekly options, that sort of thing. I don't know how liquid it is though.
We want to talk about Tesla now?
Yeah, let's do Tesla. Thanks, bud. Why don't you go? Take us for a ride.
Okay, so Tesla, Tesla on the quarter, I believe is still inside. On the month, we're gonna go inside again. Well, we may not for this month, but we're still inside of a previous inside. So you could say maybe mother bar problems in that regard. On the week, you had a 2-2 reversal. This week, in terms of weekly setup, I mean, you could go for 2 up on the week, and then what's your magnitude? That would be the outside of the previous month, which would be great because then we could get outside of the mother bar. Whether that happens or not, we're not too sure. On the daily, it looks like you had kind of is that like a PMG? Did it hit the final magnitude on that bar? 331.05?
Yeah.
Um,
No, it did not.
It did not hit, looks like.
No, it
did not hit. Right. So, I mean, in terms of a setup on the daily, the weekly, the monthly, is kind of just like a chase, like a 2 up situation to try to get that far. So this is one I don't know if I'd be confident just taking like a 2 up and just trying to go for what 343.20 as the magnitude after you claim that like 331.05. So I'd probably want to wait for a pullback, but because
We also have earnings this week.
Yeah, earnings this
yeah,
week, yeah.
yeah, so we have earnings this week. So really this thing could like, start of the week, take out all the pivots to the downside, and then earnings happens and suddenly we just gap up to the top side. Like it's really or we could just have like a boring earnings and nothing could happen. But this is like a wait and see kind of thing. I don't know if I see any like really like big reason to get into it at this point. I'd want to kind of see what happens before earnings or after earnings.
What was the trigger on Friday though? That I think it was PMG up just right at the very last portion, which I caught a little bit of it. I didn't hang out long enough because I was a bit skittish. But what was the trigger that
I was like a 30 minutes going to hour. So like if you can switch back to Tesla and go to like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you had a 2-1-2 or 1-2-2 on the hour for a Tesla.
Oh, that was the trigger.
I would say that's the better trigger. I mean, on the 30s, if you're looking at it, it's just kind of cutting up, cutting down at that point. You kind of had a PMG on the 30 to the downside, and then you could have, perhaps taken it on the 30s. But I think the hour is a bit more clear, in terms of when to take it, because you do, like you said, you have that 1-2-2 to the upside. Or you could have just taken it on the gap up on the day, but that's a bit risky, I'd say.
A lot of these tickers had that large wick towards the end in the last 15 minutes. Is that like the OPEC thing kind of causing it? Like Microsoft also had that. So
Could be.
Could be. I mean, we
There,
really
there's
we
no way
don't
to
know.
know.
We're just trying to, yeah. It's kind of like I was watching a video with Mark Douglas. It's like, the price goes up or goes down when people put in offers to buy or sell. It's not like you're required to put in a reason why. And the reason really why is you just don't know.
If we get a chance, can we also throw up cats
Yep.
on
Thank,
the
thank,
four? So
thank you. I actually,
there was an awesome 4 hour, like both up and down, that was beautiful. I think on July 3rd or something, that I didn't fully understand. Which, looking back, I see what happened, both down and up. But then now on the 4 hour, and the days are conflicting based off of the two down and two up. So on the 4 hour, it's a two failed, two down, and then on the day it looks like a failed two up, which would be conflicting. So in cases
So
like
what?
that, when they're
well, but that's because this is yesterday. So imagine if tomorrow starts and it goes green, then you've got this two down green potentially triggering that'll go right now. You do have time frame continuity in your favor,
So
and you
what's the?
okay.
I don't understand the question fully. What was the question? Is it about the 4 hour?
Yeah, so on the 4 hour, it's a failed two down,
green. Yep.
which would trigger that up. Yeah, failed two down is the green. So then at that top of the wick, it would trigger it up, right? And then, but if you go on the daily, it's a failed. Oh, actually, it's not. Sorry.
Yeah, because it
Okay.
looks like it just hit the big thing if I had taken Caterpillar before would just be exhaustion risk, just because you hit the all-time highs, right, on the
Mm-hmm.
previous day, and
Mm-hmm.
then okay, so previous day you hit all-time highs. Okay, at that point, either price keeps going up or it goes down, right? So on Friday, the price tried to make a new high. It couldn't do it, and then at that point, when it goes from two up in green to two down, or two up in red, like a failed two on that side, that's when we want to be a bit careful. And now you have on the 4 hour a possible triangle or TTO. Whether it goes or not, it's possible, may or may not. But let's see here. If we open, I mean, the problem is there's just no real setup on the month or the week. It's just kind of you're hoping for a two up, two up. On the day, this is considered what, a two down candle, two down in red. So I would
Yeah.
say it's better to wait for perhaps like a two down in green fail on the day, or maybe an inside on the day, um, and just kind of be patient in that regard.
Hmm. The end of the day play on Tesla last Friday was the RevStrat, the double inside 60 up, and
Yeah.
that yeah, that's kind of how that played out.
Can
I think I
I?
got at the 15er is when I saw it.
Do you have a question for Angie?
No, I was just gonna say when we were at CAT, I just wanted to shout out for Frankie. Last week if anybody remembers, we were talking about CAT, and he had brought up that CAT would have these due to tariffs might not be that great, and look at ETN. I did not take ETN, but if you go to ETN, just look at that, what it did this week,
Yep.
last week.
Yeah, I didn't take it either, but I think we mentioned it.
Yeah. So Frankie was like right on the spot on that one.
Yeah. You can't teach
I got two other
experience, man.
tickers.
Go.
Yeah.
Starbucks, maybe?
Starbucks. What direction are you looking at?
Yes, long, I think. Yeah, somebody posted it on Twitter or something. I think I like the chart.
Oh yeah, and by the way, when I mention my like setups, I'm usually more of like a weeklies kind of guy. I mean, I like to look at the longer time frames because obviously it helps, but I like to play weeklies. Um, that's just my style, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Starbucks. Starbucks, let me see, my thing's kind of slow. So you have green on the month. it's still inside, but green on the quarter. On the week, you have a failed 2 down and green hammer. And if you're looking at, remember we're talking about the broadening formations and your trade location. Um, we kind of we on what is it on Friday or is that Thursday? On Thursday, the sellers tried to take it down, and we just reclaimed that level like pretty hard. So what does that tell us in terms of like a broadening formation? If we just reclaim from the bottom, perhaps we're gonna try to go to the top of the broadening formation. So if we can trigger 2 up on for next week, we could perhaps go, trigger the hammer, put it in force, and go for the top of the broadening formation there, and also put the month back in force.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, maybe we could go reversal 2 down, 2 up on the quarterly as well. So that's a possibility, but that's looking a little bit too far ahead for me at least.
There's some clustered pivots up here too, which I like on the
Yeah,
60-minute chart.
yeah,
You
we
are
kind of
pivot Solanke.
Say again?
That was a joke. You are a pivot Solanke.
Yeah. Kat, what was the bias on this? Freezy's asking. I can't remember what I wrote down.
uh the bias in terms of like for next week or like the
Yeah,
future from now.
no, for next week. I think that's what he's asking.
This is a bit of a tricky one, I'd say. This is more of a wait and see because we just hit the all-time highs. We want to see what price does from there, right? If it gives us a TTO back to the upside, that's possible, or it could just continue going up. We
I
don't
mean,
know.
this could be a reversal, 2-2 reversal off the highs, right? So
Yeah,
that's a possibility too, right? But
yeah. So really, we don't know. Like next week, I wouldn't. This is one we want to wait and see. This is not one I'd kind of make a decision on. Yeah, I'm gonna put on my watch list to buy or sell. This is one we just wanted to talk about, for example.
Yeah, that cat one, just looking at the daily, is a big if for me. Even though the weekly looks great, it's the fact that the daily on my 12-hour chart, it's above and below the previous candle, and the previous candle is indicating a bearish reversal.
so this is the way I've been, and I'll share some
Well,
of this sauce here because as these guys on the internet love to talk about, and this again is one of my weird sort of, I don't know, I call them garage revelations or shower thoughts or whatever you want to call it. If you look at this and say, okay, if this goes 2-2 weak, what does that do? Your trigger is down here, right? But in order for it to go 2 up, 2 down weak, by definition, it's got to break the previous week high, right? So then, like, let's say this week gaps down and it goes, this becomes a reclaim level, right? So if we're going to go 2-2 weak, then it's got to reclaim this first, and then it goes 2-2 weak.
Yeah, this definitely has that potential to take that dip, triangle itself out, and then make the turnaround for the play on the long.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know, so this is one we just
well,
have to wait, see.
right? This is at the open. This is gapping $1.50 down.
Cat?
Cat, yes,
Oh, I didn't
because
know
of
that.
the ex dividend.
Because of which?
Ex dividend.
Oh, ex-dividend. Right, right.
People
Yeah.
take their shares and turn them in when the dividend payout occurs.
Well, it's basically shares get cheaper by a dividend amount on the ex dividend
Agreed,
date.
agreed. That's a better analogy.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So
Yeah. So it will gap down, and then we will see if they buy it back up or.
I'll share this with you guys because I'm in the process of putting together something. So if anyone wants to give me some feedback on this, I'd be delighted. Alex once did this diagram in Premium Chat, and I saw it. I'm like, this is what a broad, you have a broadening formation here, And then the broadening formation then expands the other way, right? If you have signals against, if they don't defend this and expand this down, you have signals, you have an actionable signal, and you come back through this previous range, right? If there's no reversals against, you're going to come back through. And yeah, sure. So these 4 bars are outside of this one, which is outside of this one. So when I saw that, I drew this. I thought, okay, this is what I'm looking for. Just train my eyes to see this. And then I was like, okay, so this is a 2 down, 2 up. So 2 down, 2 up reversal. There's the trigger. We all know that. That looks cool, right? Then I saw this and I said, well, it can't actually go until it reclaims this low. By definition, it's got to take that out, right? And so that's what the 2 down, 2 up reversal. So then I created this thing, which is like, this is definitely like if you're short, this is where you got to cut or change a continuity of this candle, right? Because this was green, or sorry, this was red down here. As soon as we cross this gold line, you're changing continuity back to, right? So this becomes that 2 down green, and now it's a failed 2, great. And then if it closes this way, then this becomes the trigger, and the strat textbook entry is the 2 down, 2 up, or this could be a 3. Who knows? I left it gray on purpose. But a 2-2 reversal back up to the upside. Well, I started thinking like, I mean, there's a bunch of meat here still, right? So then, if you look at this, where this comes into play is you see, any bar, as soon as you reclaim the lows of it, this could be a 2 down, this could be a 3, this could be a 1, I don't care what this is, but as soon as you reclaim the lows of it and change your continuity back to, you know, then if there's no reversals against, this is a 1 bar rev strat, and this is just what, 6 bars. That's the only difference, right? Is time. So that's where Drea says how quickly things happen
I
matters.
was gonna
So
mention that on that picture there, right? I think that's the problem I see a lot of people running into is where's the best trade location? Is the trigger at the green line or is it at the purple? Because I see a lot of people trying to enter at the purple,
right,
like, and then that's when you get. I mean, it's not to say that's a bad trade, but you just have so much less
yeah,
what's the word? We have more risk to manage at that point.
right. Like the here you're trading against these guys. This on some higher time frame is a wick. That's why shooters get bought, right? Is there, these guys immediately thought they're winning, they're feeling good, and now they're buying to cover their short positions, and it goes the other way,
Because you
right?
have people to trade against versus when you're at all-time highs, you don't necessarily have that, you know.
And
Yeah,
that's
that's a very good analogy, Blue Moon, with regards to what people are having trouble figuring out for their starter position. But and to add to that is that level of experience where you've learned to be patient. You don't want to chase if you missed it. And okay, so let's say you missed it. Well, close out, get out, and wait for another re-entry. You can always close and re-entry better than you can hold and fight the trend. Okay, don't let it kill you. Quit it. Be prepared for the next re-entry. And there might be a TTO that's a 2 down and failed, and now you're in a better position than the one you were when you were chasing. So be patient with that. Don't be afraid to cut your losses quickly. It's hard to learn that. It's hard to tell yourself, I did the wrong thing. I need to exit. That's a hard learn.
And it's
Yeah,
even
I
harder to
mean,
learn that, yeah, I was wrong, and then it reverses and you're back right again. You're like, okay, we'll get back in again, right? Have you saved enough capital and mental and emotional capital to go and do battle?
yeah, I mean, I think becoming a great trader comes in stages, right? The first stage is you trying to learn. You're just trying to learn things that'll help you build a strategy. And the strat is like one of those things that's really good to help you give you the tools to do that, right? You know, that includes broadening formations, that includes rev strat, the candles, and that includes using full time frame continuity. And there's other things you guys can learn too, like using moving averages, different indicators, so forth. But these are all tools to help you create that strategy. And the thing is, that's the first stage when you're learning it. The second is you're trying to build that strategy. Like you're using, back testing, or you're basically trying to find what's your exact entry and what's your exact exit or take profit criteria, right? And once you have that criteria and you've backtested it and you've, proven or shown that, it works, then from there the problem is just it's mostly mental and psychology, right? You have the strategy, it's going to give you, over X amount of trades, you're going to have that, ability to be profitable. So at that point, it's just executing. And I mean, I run into the problem, but the problem from there is just going from, a trade to trade mindset versus a series of trade mindset. So, like if I give you a coin, right? The coin's like a loaded coin and it flips heads 70% of the time. And I tell you this, and you're allowed to call heads every single time, right? So your focus should be on flipping that coin. It shouldn't be on, oh, I got a tails. Oh man, I got another tails. Oh, oh, I got a win here, but oh man, I got another tails, right? Because you know that over 10 trades, 20 trades, 25 trades, whatever, you're going to be profitable in the end. So as long as you're following your rules, that should be the focus, right? It shouldn't be on whether this trade wins or loses, because you know that over time and you make more trades and you execute, you're going to be profitable. So as long as you, one, have your rules defined, and two, you follow those rules, then you'll be good to go, right? But it's getting into that mindset of thinking from a, as long as I execute over a period of trades rather than focusing on each trade, and you're like, oh, this, because if you focus on each trade individually, that's when you start making mistakes. You start cutting your winners before they really win. You start, okay, I should have got stopped out at this price level, but I just kept letting it go against me, right? And I think I watched that video by Mark Douglas, and he calls it, pardon my language, shitting like an elephant and eating like a bird, right? So, I mean, execution at that point is, what I'm trying to focus on. But before that, everyone's got to learn the strat and, build those rules and give yourself exact like rules of like when am I going to enter, when am I going to exit, when am I going to take profit. Yeah.
Yep,
Can we look at Oklo?
absolutely. Let's do that. This one trades weird. This is a this is not an easy ticker to trade.
So I'll I'm playing with this a little bit to experiment few things. Like what one of the things that Ali has been talking about and teaching us a little bit on the options. So I wanted to try this other thing out. And the IV was quite high on this one. It's always is. So what I did was I bought certain shares and I sold a covered call on this one, um, just to see how actually things works to get an experiment a little bit on going.
Are you okay with shares being called away?
Yeah, absolutely. On this one,
Okay.
I don't want to hold this
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So the reason
actually,
the IV is high, and Ali would be much better than me to warn everybody about that, but the IV is high on this one is because it actually moves a lot.
yeah,
If you guys
it's
recall
not for
GME, the IV was at this most interesting days were about 2000%, to a
Jeez.
point where, yeah, I had when it was started ramping, I bought a $3 put and it doubled. The stock went against me and the put doubled because of the IV. So, point here is if you try to do wheel or any kind of theta strip plays like that on a ticker like this, you better know what you're doing.
Okay. So but now we're talking about a covered call, right? So, I mean,
Well,
what's
his
the
covered
risk
call
with
is
a covered
fine.
call? Yeah, but what's the risk with a covered call? When you're doing a covered call in a very, what's the word? Volatile stock, right? So let's say you have a position now, right? And then you bought your shares, you've sold your covered call. Like on a ticker that's really volatile, like, let's say Trump says something, right? And then Monday we
Mm-hmm.
just gap down and we're at like, I don't know, $50 or something, or something around something crazy. We just
Mm-hmm.
gap down at that point. So you have I mean, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I have my premium. That's great. But then now you're still stuck with those shares. What do you do with those shares?
Mm-hmm.
You either take the loss on those shares, or you think, hey, I've got a great stock like Amazon, Microsoft, and I know this thing can go back up, and you just have to hold and, get to a point where you're break even. But in both those situations, right, it's time is the issue. Is that now you're stuck in either you take the loss immediately and then you have a loss despite having the premium, or you just have to hold on to your shares and now you're thinking to yourself, well, I bought these shares, I had, 5,000 or $1,000 worth of money. Now it's just locked up because I don't want to take a loss. So, I mean, that's the risk that I just want people to understand with a covered call. I mean, yeah, the other option is you can keep trying to sell covered calls against you, but then what's the risk, right? You sell the covered call, and then suddenly the stock gaps up above your your strike, and now even after premium, now you're still in somewhat of a loss at that point,
Yep.
right? So that's, I mean, I just want people to understand that like there's no perfect strategy, and covered calls are great, but I think it really also depends on what stock you're trading, and like how you manage that trade.
That's exactly my point.
I
Like
remember
high AV
asking,
stocks are high AV for a reason.
yeah, I was asking Ali, in this market, is this a good market for covered calls? Rank it on a scale of 0 to 10. And he came back and said it was 2 because you could easily miss a lot of upside. Right?
Imagine you're selling a covered call on Circle, right? Or imagine selling a covered call against QUBT or any of these like quantum stocks that can literally or MP, like stuff that can just literally like gap up, right? I would say in the current environment, it's better to just own calls or like weekly calls, or what's it called, leaps, or longer 60 to 90-day DTE stuff, because everything's just pumping at that point. Now, if we're in an environment where like inside month, like an inside week, like SPY, QQQs, and price action is just dismal, nothing's happening, then at that point, yeah, you could sell puts or sell calls, because then you're basically earning money as price is just doing nothing the entire time. Yeah. But it's just very risky when you try to sell options against things that have this like crazy price momentum where the next day it can open up 10 points higher,
Yeah.
or it could open 10 points lower just because somebody says something, right? And I think a lot of the things that we were trying to avoid, that a lot of people are trying to avoid, is they want to do day trading because they don't want to get wrecked by these, after hours things that occur, right? But when you sell options, on things that are very volatile, there is that risk, you know.
Yeah. You wanna experiment with setup plays, use ETFs. Like the always bullish ETFs. Of course, you wanna sell cash secured puts on them rather than calls.
I'll try that.
Yeah.
I plan to try some put credit spreads this week, at least one small one. I want to try.
Don't
I
do
w-
spreads. Don't do spreads. They're very hard to repair, no matter what Ali says.
I would say focus should be on tickers too, right? Maybe you haven't find a ticker that's that has a mother bar
Yeah.
problem. Those might be better tickers.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Well, we've gone on for 2 hours. You guys want to still go? I'm good with that, but
Yeah. I might have to take off.
I'm going to have to go myself, but thank you very much for the chat and everybody's participation. Thank you, Solanki. Thank you, Blue.
always.
Thanks,
Thank
Frankie.
you, everyone. Thanks.
Hey, Blue Maroon, keep working on
Uh,
that kung fu, man. You got a strong game here, bud. It's good shit.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to just learn more and do more, and like honestly just work on myself and my trading every single day, and just try to become better and better at it. Um, execution is hard. Even like I'm trying to get into that mindset of just going from trade to trade, or a series of trades, and not also getting FOMO on a 30 and 60s, But
What's
I'm
the
making
kung fu
improvements.
reference? What's the kung fu reference about?
Kung fu. I don't know. It's just a slang reference to say like he's got skill,
Oh, okay.
right? The guy's he's like a ninja.
Okay. Okay.
He knows his stuff.
Okay.
He knows his stuff.
I mean, I'm down to stay. I mean, other people got to go. That's fine. If
Okay, cool.
anybody
You
has
you
questions,
usually have
throw
like
them
a
out there.
whole stack of tickers. I wouldn't mind
I
hunting for some
do.
setups.
I
For
do.
me personally, I just want to streamline my execution.
Yeah.
I'm getting the concepts. It's not like I'm lost, but my execution sucks and I'm all over the place. So I need to streamline. So and I told myself this last week too, but I didn't have the discipline. So I need to figure out like a small set of setups that I'm gonna stick to and they just trade that. Everything else is just a noise and I need to cut that out and see if that
Yeah.
works for me or not.
Yeah. I
I
mean, the
would
only thing
say
I can
lean on the
recommend,
60. Okay, you go. Go.
I was gonna say, no matter what you choose, you write it down. Whatever you define as your rules, write your entry criteria, write your exit criteria, and just write it down so that you can define it. And then, I don't know, print it out, post it on your wall, put it next to your computer, and those are your rules that you have to follow for the next 20 trades, right? And then
Mhm.
at that point, just follow them. No changing, no deviating, no, oh, well, this one, looks like it's better or worse. You just have to follow those rules once you have it written down. Because what I work with a lot of other people too, and what I notice is it's like, one week they're trading gappers, the next week they're trading like, just off the dailies, the next week they're doing like, covered calls, and it's like they can't really and then when I ask them like, why did you enter here? Why did you exit here? It's like their answer just changes from like one trade to the next. And so I think if you can just write down your strict criteria, whatever it is that you're going to trade or how you're going to trade, follow it. That's it. But a lot of people can't put that down, right? When are
Yeah,
you going to
I'm
exit?
struggling with that.
Yeah.
I started writing today, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I still have
Yeah.
ways to go.
Yeah. And journaling definitely helps too, because then you can hold yourself accountable. Like when you take a trade, like did I follow my rules? Did I not follow my rules? Um, yeah.
Solanki, you were gonna add something.
Um,
I think you said something about 30s and 60s.
yeah, if you're looking at, for example, you were asking about Oklo, right? And I had that other diagram up here that I'll just quickly throw up here again. Is that what I learned was you wait for the TTO. I used to get scared when this stuff would go down, but trade location, you want to take a trade from the bottom, create a winning position that expands a range and starts to take out these pivots and expands this. These have to keep going. Imagine if this went to up and then was a kicker to the downside. That means you're reclaiming this high. So before a 2-2 happens, it's got to reclaim the third candle, like the one 3 candles ago. It's got to reclaim that one's high. And so when you look at, for example, this trade, right, is you've gone and created this lower time frame TTO, you get into the trade. Let's say you got like this trade here to the upside was the one to take to target these guys. Now, getting in long, you're going to say, well, okay, if it goes, then you need to see expansion above this level and keep going up to try to get that. So how do you do that? Is you just got to look at the 30s and 60s, right? Is on this time frame, are do the Bulls have the ball? Yes or no? And if they fumble and it comes down, then you want to see them pick up the ball again here, right? And then the bull. So if it comes down into maybe this gap or whatever you want to call it, right? Top of this broadening formation here, whatever you want to call it, right? Like comes down into this range and starts to then it's the continuity of the flip of the 30s and the 60s. Soon as it goes green, you're good. And then that's people bump their stops and you get all the pivot machine gun type action, right? So that's what I'm saying is I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to lean on the continuity of the flip. If the continuity of the flip is green, I feel better and then I'm cool. And then I just make sure that it doesn't start to reclaim highs, right? So then if it starts to break this, now I'm saying, okay, shit, this might actually go against me back to the downside, and this becomes, my stop level. Actually, I had a template for that, right? So if I'm long, I want to put my stops here. That's an aggressive exit. We talk about entries all the time, but I think we should talk about exits. This to me is an aggressive exit. And Ferengi was asking, what if you get a fiver close? Okay, cool. Your fiver is going to close below this. What does the next fiver do? If it goes down and confirms the reversal and it goes red, and you know that by the continuity of the flip, then you can say, shit, this is now an exhaustion reversal. It's not a TTO. I would expect the reversal once we get, you know, exhaustion, right? So once we get up into this zone, then you're looking for your red stuff to potentially come back down, or the bulls defend and they expand, and you'll see a lower time frame broadening formation, probably an outside bar, right? You'll see an outside 60 here. So you just draw the highs and the lows of that, and that becomes your level. That's how you play. You just got to wait and see what you get.
I was thinking like in terms of and I don't know if you were answering this question too, Solanke, is like I'm looking at rules like for example for me, right? If I'm gonna take something long, then it has to be green on the month, it has to have trigger 2 up on the week, it has to have trigger 2 up on the day, and on the 30s and 60s, it has to trigger either from an inside and up, or it has to have gone from a 2 down, failed 2 down in green and up, or it has to be off a hammer. And that's basically the my pretty much what do you call it, strict entry criteria, as well as like a fiver to confirm above the trigger, but just rules like that. I mean, I know you're going over like a lot of theory in terms of like knowing the trade and where to exit, where are good points to go. But I think a lot of times people just need to even break it down further to like, you know, make it mechanical to these set of rules need to be happening before I enter.
Someone's asking if you could talk about your exit rules. Tandyman's asking.
My exit rules?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could talk about my exit rules. Um, so let's say I'm in a trade, right? So my exit is one of two things gonna happen. Either I have a signal against me, or I'm at target. If I'm at target, right, then I go down to let's say, on that Oklo example where we're at, let's say I'm still in the trade from last week, I'm swinging it from Friday or Thursday or whatever, right? And again, keep in mind, like, well, how am I trading? I'm not someone that's using like what do you call it? A leap or something. I'm using like, let's say, my expiration is going to be next week. So I really need this to go or I'm out. So you have that yellow line. That's basically my first target. I want to see what happens there, right? So once we get to target on the price, I go to the fives. And at that, once you get to the fives, I want to see either the fiver like close green above it and keep going, in which case I'm holding, I'm keep holding. Let's say I get a fiver that like hits my target and then comes back down and closes red. That to me is going to be my first signal to get out. And then even further, if you have, let's say, a fiver that closes against, like you get like a 2 up, 2 down fiver that's red and the body closes against you, that's another signal to get out. And even further than that, let's say you have a 30 and 60 that goes above that target, and like let's say the bottom of those 30s and 60s is like below below that yellow line, below that target level, and you get a close with a fiver right below there, I'm out. I'm 100% out. And the reason why I'm out, right, you could definitely hold, and some people have more conservative criteria for that, is I'm thinking that's a clear level where people are going to take profit. Do I know if it's going to reverse? I mean, do I know if it's going to reverse from there, or do I know if it's a TTO? I don't know, right? But my tolerance is that as soon as I have a lower time frame that closes against me, then that's my signal to me at least that the price is going to go lower from there and that I can always remember to get back in if I get like a 30 and 60 to get me back in. Um, Now let's say I'm talking about my exit criteria with a signal against me, right? Again, I'm very much this is going to differ from person to person, but I like to actually wait for a 30 and 60 signal against me. So for example, if I have a 2 up and green, and again, I haven't hit my target. Keep in mind that we're still like, between targets, we're still going up to the next one. I haven't hit my target yet. Then I like to wait for at least a 30 or a 60 to close against me. Not just wick against me, but close against me. So we could use an example I took on Friday, which was NRG. You can pull NRG up if you want to, Solanke, and we can
Yep.
talk about it.
Do you want the lower or higher time frames?
You can have like a week. So I'm looking at usually like a month, week, day, and
Yep.
also like
That's
30 and 60,
yep.
and then perhaps a five if you want.
Yep.
But
That's what I got.
right. So why did I take this trade? Let's start with that, right?
On Friday you took this?
Um, yeah, I took it on Friday.
Yep.
So I was trying to anticipate for next week. I was thinking to myself on the week, right? If we close 3, 2, and let me just pull it up on my end too. If we can close 2 up or 2 down, fail 2 down in green on this week, what does that create for next week, right? And on the month, obviously you have kind of like 2 down in red, kind of a failing, I'd say. So I was thinking to myself, okay, next week I can try to go for 2-2 back to the upside. First target would be like monthly open, and then perhaps we can go even higher than that. And then you have 2 up green on the day, okay. Um, and then on the 30s, let's see, 30s and 60s. On the 30, I had like a 2-1-2 perhaps, and on the hour it looked like it was a 2-2 to confirm. So this is one where the trade obviously didn't go the way I wanted to go. On the 2-1-2, I had a fiver close to trigger me in on the 2-1-2 to keep going up. And at some point it just didn't go. It went above the 60. It kept going for a little bit, but it just didn't go. And so at what point did I get out of the trade, right? I'm holding on to it until it keeps going up, hoping I can swing it. So let's say on that 2 down 30, I kept holding there. Obviously, some people could have just stopped out of there. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying that's my criteria for exiting, right? I'm still in it, and it created a hammer. Great. Next candle on the 30, it's a 2 up in green, still in. Next candle, 2 down in red, still in it. Next candle, 2 down in red, body closes against me, I'm out. So that's basically where I was at on that trade.
So this is really cool, right? Is I think, and I do this all the time. I'm so guilty of it, is getting into a trade too early. But this game is all about pattern recognition, right? So I saw this, the weekly signal looks like it's good, and if these signals work, then it triggers the 2-2. Well, actually, it would be a, yeah, 2-2 week. That pattern there is exactly this thing, right? Is you've got, you know, I mean, you look at this, right? You take out some liquidity down here, and then you get a actionable signal to reclaim this level over here, and up and away it goes, right? You can see it nicely on the 30 chart, or even the 15.
And,
So this is
and this
this is a good setup. I like this setup a lot.
and and this could honestly keep going for next week too. But
Right.
the reason I'm out is that's basically my rules. And again, I like to share trades that don't go my way as well, that I get stopped out of, because I think there's too much focus on people that like put in trades and I got, oh look, a 500% winner, and like this was so obvious in what retrospect that you could have entered here and you could have entered here and maybe you could have gotten out here, but you entered here and boom, you have a 500% winner. But I think it's really important too that like we discuss losers and stocks that, and instances that stocks had good setups but didn't go your way. Because there's going to be a lot more, because being a good loser is also part of winning as well, right? You want to keep your losses small. The trades that don't go your way, you don't want to hold on to them, and now you're stuck thinking, oh, I'm just going to swing this for next week. And then next week it still doesn't go your way, and you're like, oh, I should have exited at this point, but I'm so far away now. But it's already like, 70% down on my position. I might as well just consider it a loss and hold it. And then boom, and then like the next day you're like, oh, now it's like 99% red, and now I'm just, now you're just hitting yourself because you didn't get out when you told yourself you're going to get out, right? So we want to keep the losses small, right? And even though you have good setups, not every setup is going to go your way. But we know that if you follow your rules and you have a proven edge and you keep following those rules from day to day, I mean from trade to trade to trade, right? You're gonna come out ahead in the end. But you really have to follow your rules and not just kind of pick and choose when you're gonna follow your rules.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all skills. You got to stack the skills, and the very first skill is keep your losses small. That skill lets you survive to get better at the rest of the other skills. Keep your losses
Right.
small.
Well,
I'll,
can I ask just a real quick question? Like for day trade, I have this trouble last week when I was trying to day trade IWM. The entries were good and whatnot. Like, right at what point? And I had the target. I had the previous day high target in sight. I can't remember exactly which day was that. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday.
Yep.
But it's like, and your trade goes with you, like you're in profit. So two questions. One is, again, what I did was I did the trade twice. I took profit both of the times, but I exited too quickly on the fivers again. Like if the fiver closed red, I was out. But I could see the target is there, and it did hit the targets towards the end of the day. That's what I was asking Shanti, that uh, what do I do? Like, you just leave it alone? And that's what her answer was, like, just leave it alone, give it time. If you're confident that it's going to go to the target, it's going to go. So that was one of the mistakes I keep making, is like, as soon as I go in profit, I start looking at the fivers. And it's like, oh, is it going red? Is it going red? I want to cut it out because I want to get whatever I have in my P&L right now. I don't want to lose anything. And oftentimes, then I'm sad that it went up again. So that's one mistake. The other one is, you enter a trade and it goes in a little bit in the green. Do you immediately go on break even or what? Because then it oftentimes just wicks you and leaves you, and it goes again, basically.
Okay, I think I understand your question. So first thing is it depends, right? So it depends on when you write down your strategy, what is your strategy? And your strategy should be back tested, should be proven that it works, right? So, I mean, for me, if I'm talking about what I do, right? Because that's what I personally have looked at and tested and shown that works, is that if it hasn't, you're looking at your targets, right, on IWM, right? And you've already defined them where they are, right? And they're good targets, they're solid targets, there's no you have a good understanding of the theory in terms of like where they should be, where are the obvious levels that profits are going to get taken out. Then at that point, it's just I don't look at the fivers until my price actually hits that level. The only other the only other time frame I'm looking at is the 30s and 60s at that point, right? It's either I look at the fivers when I look for my entry or my exit. Other than that, I don't look at those fivers. For me, for what I do. And yeah, my P&L is gonna swing up, down, but I wouldn't say I don't care about my P&L, but I'm not trading my P&L because again, I know that if I follow my system, my P&L over a series of trades is gonna make me profitable, right? I'm not picking and choosing when to follow my rules. I'm always following my rules, and I know that if I take a series of like multiple trades, that I'll come out ahead in the end. Because I mean, that's what I personally do. Now, if we want to talk about like in terms of the theory, the fibers are going to be such um, a very volatile kind of like time frame. They're going to come wick up, wick down, wick up, wick down. And yeah, it's going to affect my P&L in terms of like being up a certain percentage or being down a certain percentage. But again, I'm what I'm doing is I'm trading the strat. I'm either trading it to target, right? Or I'm trading because or I'm exiting because price is telling me my evidence or my theory is not correct. So either it's correct or it's not correct. So if it's correct, then it should hit my target. But I'm not using the fivers as evidence personally because it's just too, unless I'm trading like using some kind of crazy scalping method, right? In that case, you can use like twos, fives, 3 minute, whatever you want to use. But if I'm trading on a higher time frame, then either it's going to go to my target or it's going to exit against me. There's only two options at that point. It's like when you're in an inside bar, right? Price is eventually gonna have to hit either the top side of the inside bar or the bottom. You don't know which one.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So just, I mean, my advice at that point is just, your rules shouldn't be based on your P&L. I would say, I mean, I know some people say things like, for example, once you're up 20%, then move your stops to break even or move it up to like 10%. Um, I think things like that, they work when you're using like like a lot higher of a time frame. But when you're trading like weeklies or like, it just doesn't it's not compatible, I think.
Yeah, that's what my observation has been. Like, oftentimes it's not. Like, so yeah.
Like when you're trading shares, it definitely makes sense that when you're up like a certain percentage, then, you know, you set your stop to break even, so you'll never, you won't ever be go into a loss. But for weeklies, especially depending on the ticker you're trading, like Tesla for example, I don't think you don't give enough room for the trade to tell you it's not working to actually before you get out, if that makes sense.
You got a question in chat here just to confirm, Blue Maroon. You're saying that you exit if red on a 30 or 60 close against, not wick or trigger, but a close.
Uh, right. And yeah, yeah, so I don't, the wick is, I mean, the wick is important too, but I mean, I don't exit on the wick. I basically just, I wait for the 30 to close against me. And again, either the 30 or 60, because you know, whatever time frame you enter on is a time frame that you exit, unless you hit profit. That's the general rule. Whatever time frame you enter on is the time frame you exit, unless you hit your target. Then you gotta
I
manage
have
the position or get out.
I played with this idea for a while and I exit I redid it in my head. For me it's easier to close a trade having lost say $100 if I've made $800, I can give back $100 of it. But if I lose $100 right from the get-go, that doesn't work for me. So I exit on fives and 15s confirmed, usually a confirmed 15 against me on the entry of a trade, and I'll exit if I'm up, a decent amount, right? I try to get at least if I can, like if I've had a trade that's run, 120 or 200% or whatever, I try to get at least 50% on the trade because if I stack enough 50s together, you know, that's how I've been able to survive in this game. So
Yeah.
so
I mean, you're taking your profits at target. I mean, that's fine. It's just it's the problem that a lot of people run into is like, okay, let's say your target's at $100, stock's trading at 98, and your P&L is like up, 70%. You're like, oh, I'm so excited. I just want to get out now. I just want to get out now. And then, but on the opposite spectrum too, let's say the price goes against you, and your stop is at 90, and the price has already gone to like 89 and you're like, oh, it'll turn around. It'll turn around. I'm hoping it'll turn around. And then it keeps going. It keeps going, and they still just don't get out until they get to that point emotionally where they can't hold it any longer and they're out. So that's the problem, right? They're not holding it until the point where they're getting their target, and then they're not exiting when they're supposed to exit
hmm.
I gotta
because
go,
they're
guys. Thank
Yeah,
you. Appreciate
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys.
we've
focus
been
on
at
the
this
P&L.
for yeah, I gotta head out here too. Shit. Thanks for joining, bud.
Thank you. Have a good one, everyone. See you guys
I
tomorrow.
guess I can say for myself about this subject because I really like try to explore it in many different like strategies and other people methods that they developed over um their backtesting. Is that for me at least to let a candle close like a 30 or an hour to close against me, like to wait for the all this price action is really like frustrating. So I just like thought about, oh, I think he quit, but no, just keep talking. Um, just like for me, it's just like a little hard. So I talked about it with I think Drea and also Eileen in the Gabber chat, and just to exit like on a fiver against me and then re-enter on the trigger works better for me. Like it keeps my losses small and then gives me back the opportunity if it re-triggers and there's enough time for the signal to work, then I'm okay with it, and I keep my losses small in that way.
So like here's the problem, right? Is that if I let's say you give someone a strategy that's proven to work, right? And then the first trade they take, it doesn't work. Is the strategy not valid, right? Or let's say, like it said with the coin that flips heads 70% of the time, like the first flip might not be heads. The second flip might not be heads. The third flip might not be heads. But if you flip the coin more and more over like a longer period of time, right? You're gonna basically get to that point of like, mathematical mean reversion, whatever, that you're gonna be profitable in the end. But the problem is you have to follow the strategy that you define. And again, your P&L is not doing well on the first trade. Okay, yeah, but I mean, that's just one trade of many. You're not putting all your money into one trade. You're gonna spread your trade out into 20 or 30 or however many trades because you're planning to basically trade, in perpetuity forever or however long you want to trade. So, if you follow the rules and you have these proven rules that can make you profitable, then follow the rules.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's definitely like that, but just like there's another way if you like for a psychological thing about like being like in the red for so long, just waiting for the signal like to work. It's just like for me frustrating. I prefer like to be out of the trade, watch it go sideways or watch it like retriggers and then like re-enter the trade. Um, and then like if it goes, it goes. If it's not, then so be it. But I think I also took something that Shampi said about like as soon as she can to just type the stop to break even. That even if it goes like and then come back, you're not losing. So what if it work? If it like became break even, as long as you didn't lose money, it's okay. You have money for the next trade that will work. And that's something that Alex also said when I was in the premium period of mine.
I mean, again, and it really is going to depend on your trading strategy, right? So like when we talk about stops and you have an entry on a 30 and 60, the most conservative stop is going to be if the price goes below your entry point. So, I mean, technically, yeah, you can as soon as your trade goes green, you can set it to break even, but just realize that when you do something like that, that you're gonna get stopped out over like a lot more often than if you give it more room, right? And that just depends on what kind of trader you want to be. If you want to basically have a trade like that where you set your stop very close to where you enter from, um, that's that is fine. It's just that you understand like how your strategy works in that regard. Like I just give myself a big stop because I think that when I enter a trade, right? I think that when I enter a trade, the price is telling me it wants to go either higher or lower, and I want to give it like enough room to tell me you're wrong. And when I'm wrong, then I'm out. But I want to give it enough room. Personally, when I want to give it enough room to tell me that. Can I switch to a strategy that basically, you know, is doesn't do that, where I just basically get out a lot quicker than that, where, maybe I can wait for price to close below my trigger and that's my entry or that's my exit out. I could do that. But, with how I trade, that's just, I mean, those are just not within my rules.
Oh, you're definitely like there's a sense to what you said, but I think my problem with this is that the risk reward anticipation becomes very very hard like to calculate. And if you like
Right.
you
But
let's say
but
like you
you're
use the
but you're basing that off one trade, right?
oh yeah, but if you like use the coin tossing for example that Liam said, then if you don't have a determined risk reward that you're willing to risk, then even if the coin is like 70-30 or 50-50 or even 40-60, you eventually you would lose money. And and I think that's part
You
of the
put
game.
if you put all your money in on each coin flip, I agree, right? But if let's say you have $100 and you bet a dollar every time, or let's say you bet 10 cents every time, right? Eventually you'll come out ahead if that coin is rigged in your favor, like 70-30.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I guess
Right?
the thing here it's about that making the coin in your favor.
Right. I mean that getting the coin in your favor, that's before what I mean, right now we're talking about psychology, right? And before you get to the point where your focus should be on executing your strategy, you need to learn a lot of the tools. That's step one, where you have to learn a lot of concepts to build your strategy. And you also have to have the ability to backtest or test it out, right? But once you have the strategy, right? Once you know your coin is lopsided towards your favor, then the focus shouldn't be on whether my coin is lopsided or not. It should be on just flipping the coin, right? So, I mean, you know, whatever I'm talking about, I'm just confident in my coin at that point, right? I know for other people it may not, they might have that confidence, right? And I'm not saying I have the only winning strategy out there. Other people do too. Shanti's great, Drea's great. They just have their own systems, but they've gotten to the point where they have enough knowledge and they have enough confidence because they've tested their strategy out. And so they're not wondering like, oh, is my strategy working or not? Like, you know, oh, my P&L's turning, like, you know, just went from plus 5% to minus 5%. Oh, should I get out? Should I not? They're just focusing on executing their system at that point.
Oh, definitely. I think what I'm dealing with is also figuring out whether the coin is in my favor or not with executing. Like sometimes, like I get the trade, I get the setup, I get the all the rules that made me enter this, and my execution is what like makes it fail. And sometimes I just like completely off analysis and I'm just wrong, you know, and then like I also fail
Just,
due to.
yeah, I mean, you just gotta back test, right? Go on TradingView and use the little replay option and like, you know, just play roulette, scroll back like a year or scroll back a couple months to just another like random day where you have a setup and then just play it out like that. Right? And do that like 10 times, 20 times, and like you get a sense of is it working, is it not working, and then yeah.
So I think Lindsay also asked it in the chat, but I also interested in it is like how far did you backtest your strategy for entry and exits?
So the question is how far have I back tested it?
Yeah.
Um, I'm just, I mean, how far back? With the data that's available on TradingView. So like I haven't gone back to like 1990s or whatever, but I'm looking at, for example, stocks that have a certain, you know, again, at least 1 million in volume, at least trade with what 2,000 open interest, at least $10 or more. Um, what else is there? 2 ATR. Yeah. And probably like just looking at the previous 5 years on a lot of these stocks.
Cool. Thanks.
Blue Moon, have you
Thank
got
you
any
very much.
more tickers you want to throw in, or you maybe you want to throw them in the chat, or no, I actually I know where else I can take a peek at your
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, yeah, I mean, I
Did,
posted on the other
Yeah,
thing at that
cool,
point.
cool.
I just haven't really had a chance to like narrow them all down into the ones I really like yet, but they're just all there
Yep,
for yeah.
yep. I like this setup here
But
sometimes.
like I was gonna say like Nike was like one I was going to check out. Um, Carvana possibly. There was a lot of financial stuff like Upstart, JP Morgan, Capital One Financial, BAC we talked about. PayPal was one I liked along with Affirm.
sorry, Bruno, where is the list of the tickers that you saw?
Here, let me just, I think I just posted in the, is it, I can't figure out where the chat is.
It's right that it's that bubble icon right next to the community stream thing here. If you click on this guy, it opens up the chat here.
Let me see. So I'm at watch stream
Yeah,
and then,
you see that little circle
oh,
bubble there, open chat. So if you click that, it
yeah,
should pop it
okay,
open.
yeah, I see it. I'll just, let me just post it up.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Let's look at some of these. Oh, geez. Which ones in here have I traded before? done well with AFRM in the past. 2 down green hammer on what? On the week? No, I don't see a 2 down green hammer. Hour?
Oh, when it says 2 down and green hammer, it just means either 2 down and green or a hammer.
Or a hammer. Sorry, got it. Okay. Yep.
I just lump them in the same
Yep.
category because, yeah,
It works the same way. Same stuff.
because I figure I don't want to have one category of 2 down and greens and one is hammer if
I,
they just
I
all
really,
represent the same.
I really like this chart here, though. This one here was probably my favorite so far today.
The VST is like the perfect chart for the reclaim
Which
that I
one?
saw. Alex
Which
posted in this Vista Corp,
VST?
VST from Maroon list. It's
Um,
just like this reclaim on the dailies.
It's doji on the
Just
month. I don't know. It's not really doing much.
I think for other
oh no, actually
people that were interested on my like exit strategy, the other thing I was gonna test out but haven't gotten a chance to is for a 30 or 60 that wicks against me, but also that wicks, but also a fiver that closes above or below the trigger to as my exit. But that's something I'm still testing. I haven't really confirmed I'm gonna do that yet, but just something to note in case people are wondering.
Kava was
oh
another
no
one.
about Vista. I just thought that it looks very nice in the daily chart. Like you just like reclaim this low on
Which ticker?
Wednesday. VST.
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 Yeah, yeah. Like it reclaimed this low, the previous week low, and then like just made an inside day and then shoot up Friday.
I do like the volume on Friday, and it's a break of an inside bar, so that's not bad. I'd have to play this then
You
on
do,
the.
do notice that like price pretty much closed really close to the monthly open,
Yeah,
like slightly above, I think.
yeah. I mean, it's a doji, really. It's not doing much.
Yeah, but I mean
Yeah, but
you
it
get a
can be
sense of
just
the broadening formation kind of as well.
it can also be just like like a TTO for an uptrend move or not, basically.
I give it a B.
Cool.
Thank you guys for the session. Thanks
What do you think
everybody.
about Apple?
Apple. Let's look. I'll do another couple more, and then I gotta get going too. Apple double inside month and failed that. Inside week and green. 3 double inside
Double
day.
inside day.
I mean, it's
Looks like price is just getting more and more, what's the word? I don't want to say constricted. I forgot. Consolidating?
coiled up. Yeah, consolidating. Sure. I mean, this kind of looks almost like the UNH chart, right? We had that massive. Here, if you look at the UNH chart, it has the same pattern, right? This massive kind of push down, and then we took out those highs and then failed to the downside, right? So I'm looking at the daily chart. We had that huge, right? And then so this is that you're stuck inside previous range, you're going to get a broadening formation. So on Apple, I see that on the weekly chart here, right? We had this kind of crappy, but we have reclaimed this 3 on the week. Shit. Right? So we've reclaimed the lows of that and coiled, and we have a weekly set up to the upside. I'll put an alert on it. I mean, that's right? So then it'll re-trigger the double inside month and go up and break the high of this daily. Oh shit! Control Z. So not terrible, but it's pretty stuck. Oh, FedEx. We played this one in premium last week. This was a good one. Inside week down.
I think I mentioned this ticker like last week, thinking
Yeah,
possible to the upside, and it went back to the down.
yeah,
And now you've got giant ass what is it called, shooter and possible 2 up in red on the month forming.
yeah. But then look at also this PMG on the daily, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 untested highs.
Yeah, this one shows conflict, I could say.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Although it's bias is still to the upside. This could be a TTO. I'll play this up if it reclaims that and my other technique. But this is just because I'm too lazy and I'm not going to do it now. So crossing up from that level. That'll be a 2-2 on the day. All right, so we'll do that. So we get a 2-2 on the day. I wouldn't, right? Because you're reclaiming these lows, and then that sets up 1, 2, 2 back up to the upside. Who knows? Frankie, he had the call out of the week, man, from last weekend's chat. This was
Yeah, Joby.
phenomenal. Yeah, I saw this 3 outside day, and I'm all right. Let's play this, and it was a gap up, gap up. Yeah, I played this towards the end of the week. It was phenomenal, and it was just coming back up into this weekly range, right to the back to the highs. So that was a cool
Shop was my big winner from last week.
shop.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, shop.
we'll do this one, and then I gotta run. Great setup on the week, right? 3 down, 2 up. Weekly, or sorry, monthly continuation. Two up in
I
red.
took it on Wednesday, I believe.
Perfect. Really good. Right. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is my new entry here. Right. Is a failed 2 going 3. As you know that by when it breaches the low of the previous bar, that's how you get 3s.
Yeah. And if you look at the 30s and 60s, it was just like all types of easy entries on that day to get in.
That was the 16th. Yeah. So huge.
1, 2, 2, 30 on the 30s to get you in. On the hour, you had a 2 down in green and 2 up to get you in as well on the 30s and 60s.
Let me get that day. All right. Yeah, look at this. This is a great 60 chart, right? They bought the shooter, so there's an entry here. That's the entry there. Lots of good entries. Expansion of the range. Pretty good. Good shit. And then you had the 3-2 day, right? So then you defend these highs. Expand that to the upside. Good stuff.
Yep. And then you could have just rided that out for the whole next day. If you look on the 30s, you never, I mean, using my rules where you wait for a 30 to close against you, it never did,
Yep,
and it was
on
just
the
strong the entire day.
yep, yep. Good stuff. Nicely done. All right, gang, I got to run. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. We'll see you next week. Ciao. Blue Room, thanks for all your partnership here. This was great.
It's awesome, man. I love sharing the
Yeah,
knowledge. I'm always trying to get better myself,
you're
and
you're
I
you're
find
great
that
at
a lot
keeping
of people,
you're good at keeping it simple. You
yeah,
find a lot of people what?
I find a lot of people go through the struggles that I went through when I was learning the strat and got to the execution side. So it's always good to just give back and answer questions because I feel like I recognize some of the the issues basically.
Yep. Yep. Awesome. All right, guys. We'll
Thanks,
shoot
guys.
again soon. Take care.